GK is proud to be
Welcome to Louisville as we get set to see each region battle it out for the 2026 Elite Team Cup. Will Region 3 go for the three-peat, or will a brand new regional champion be crowned?
Now the white balance is saying new balance. We need to get in here and figure out.
Welcome to Kentucky International Convention Center for the 2026 Elite Team Cup. Let's listen in to our PA announcer, Dan Mowdy, for the marching of these amazing athletes.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2026 Elite Team Cup at Kentucky International Convention Center in Louisville, Kentucky, USA. Today's competition features 6 young men. They're all here in Louisville, from all around the nation, contending for practice medals and fighting to earn an all-around title, with each team striving to earn a place in the top 3 of the 2026 Elite Team Cup. Competing today in the 2026 USA Gymnastics Elite Team Cup. Starting off on the floor, Jason Woodnik, Jason Woodnik, Elijah Gutierrez, Brandon Hayes, Max Loziniak, Logan McCray, Simon McKillen, Daniel Samuelito, Jackson Wilson, Levi Van and Connor Hayes. Starting off on Pommel Horse, Region 3, Andres Aranda, Hunter Egan, Jesse Haney, Joshua Haney, Mason Heath, Ryan Mills, Hunter Reingold, Cal Sanchez, Brody Gill, and Jacob McHorse. Starting off on rings, Region 4, Elijah Connor, Jason Howe, Javon Jimeno, Jackson Korecki, Zayden Kite, Zach Myers, London Norris, Shane Cumbermack, Cole Fallbacher, and Jason George. Starting off on vault, Region 2, with Asher Corbin, Cooper Richardson, Dave Howard, Miles Lee, Cole Miller, Dean Murray, J.J. Packing, Cooper Mohat, and Elias Edwards. Starting on parallel boards, Region 1, Avery Recto, Dylan Briones, Kieran Chetry, Yotam Gabai, Troy Holman, Nixon Miles, Justin Park, Abe Stewart, Xavier Newman, and Andy Rasmanti. And starting off on high ball, Region 6, Blake Fryman, Ty Berzing, Tyler Malecki, Blake Fryman, Xavier Newman, Kelly Moriarty, Michael Manufi, Jacob Silva, Jack Allen Cicchini, Brody Schuler, along with Alan Fredlin and Colin Buaru. These are the senior men competing in the 2026 Elite Team Cup. At this time, I'd like to rise to our table with your backs and direct your attention to our nation's colors for the playing of our national anthem. Thank you. Gymnasts may now prepare for competition in today's Elite Team Cup.
To succeed in gymnastics, it takes strength, determination, dedication, and it takes you. The USA Gymnastics Foundation raises funds to empower athletes at all levels and disciplines of our sport and to enrich communities for all-around success. Give to the USA Gymnastics Foundation today, because their success starts with you.
Man, oh man, do those videos start the best feelings in my life. Welcome to the 2026 Elite Team Cup here in Louisville, Kentucky. I cannot wait for this competition. My name is Paul Judah, and I'm joined today with
Christian. I'm so grateful to be here.
Oh my gosh, Christian, what an opportunity we have today. A treat to start off this incredible day of competition with the next up-and-coming junior athletes.
Oh, absolutely. It's just such a genuine pleasure to see these athletes compete. Like, I talk about successful that doesn't start in college. That starts when you're a teenager, when you're young, you're learning these skills, establishing that foundation that you
I 100% agree with you. This is kind of that first time that some of these juniors feel like they're competing for something bigger than themselves. Especially when you're in JO, all that you think about is competing for that all-around individual title. Here, your routine means more than that.
It's quite the adjustment. I mean, nothing really beats competing in college, although I guess you could speak to that, competing in the league. And speaking of which, how does it feel to be done there?
Christian, I'm going to tell you right now that even hearing that national anthem, my hands get a little clammy, my heart's beating a little faster. Even though I'm not competing today, I still feel like I might be. So it's been a blessing to be done. I had such an incredible career. I'm blessed to be able to say that I finished crashed opportunistically. I'm happy where I am, and this is just one of those ways I'm thinking about how to give back to the sport. And you too, my friend. How does it feel to be done?
It feels good in that, I'm not quite an Olympic medalist, but I was very fortunate in my gymnastics career. I had just so much fun, and I would do gymnastics again 100 times over in 100 lifetimes.
I think that's the best part about the sport, right? And I think that's something that we're trying to bring to this new generation of gymnasts. It's not just about achieving the Olympic dream. How can we make athletes feel successful at every single possible level? I know that's the dream of the next gymnastics CEO, and we're going to have a chance to speak to some special guests later on today that can speak to that. But Christian, tell me about who you've got in this competition.
All right. Now, I know that Region 3 are the favorites, right? I know they've won the past 2, and the 3P would be the sweet. That being said, I got to watch podium training yesterday. I watched warm-ups today, and I have a good feeling about Region 4. I think they look very strong, and that being said, who doesn't love an underdog?
Christian, I know about the underdog story, believe me. I think that today's going to be very important about two kind of things. And Christian, you and I spoke about it before we started. There's two types of athletes that are going to be going today. I believe that it's going to be the athletes that are either competing within themselves, in their gymnastics abilities, or trying to reach a little bit too far. I think today that the successful team, that the winner of this competition, is going to be the team that has athletes that stay within their boundaries, can hit all their routines, do clean gymnastics. What do you think?
No, that sounds perfectly correct, right? There's plenty of time for these athletes to get these elite level skills, right? These college competitive skills when they're older. Right? And so if you want to win meets, you got to hit routines. So today isn't about pushing that difficulty. Today is about hitting routines for your team, because hits stack on hits, it builds momentum, and momentum wins meets.
What do you think, Christian? We've got some of the eyes of the senior selection committee here, our vice president of USA Gymnastics, our men's program director here in the crowd, in the stands in the upper committee. What are they looking at the next generation of gymnasts?
I think they're looking a little more for the forest rather than the trees here, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, we're trying to become more competitive on that international level. And that begins today, right? It begins every day in the gym with these athletes training what will be the skills they compete in the future. And so they're looking at good basics, right? Good foundations. Are these athletes good with their skill choice? Are they consistent? How do they respond under pressure? And on top of all of that, how do they play within the team?
Yep, I can't speak to any more than that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a longevity, it's a marathon. These athletes, they may not be the very next Olympic athletes for 2028, but these are the athletes that you have to watch out for 2032, 2036. I mean, it's crazy to think, but that 10 years goes by like that. For a lot of these athletes, they have Olympic aspirations. They got to see the 2024 team win a medal, and they want to be a part of something like that too. So I think today it's being able to, and I think the fans at home and everybody that's watching today, you'll be able to see who's got that elite look to their gymnastics. It starts early. It doesn't always mean you're doing the hardest gymnastics, but it does mean that you're doing gymnastics that looks good.
All right, and so, Paul, you've had the opportunity to compete at a couple Winter Cups, both as a junior and a senior. What do you think is going through the heads of these athletes right now as they're getting ready to compete?
Man, it's the early in the season. It's February. It's a long international calendar. From the junior perspective, though, it's been a few years since I've competed in the junior ranks, but I always remember that this was one of those meets that you get to, and you're extra nervous. Like I mentioned, you've got the senior selection committee here. You've got a lot of eyes on you. This is all a re-ranking event. This is kind of where the best of the best come. If you're at this meet as a junior, you are one of the best juniors in the country. And to be able to be on a stage before JO Nationals, which is the Junior Olympic Nationals later on in April and May, you have a chance to now compete against your best competition. This is that moment where you say, did I train hard during the summer? Have I stayed healthy? Have I stayed diligent? Are my routines going to be ready? And a reminder, listen, they're not going to be perfect today. If they were perfect, these routines are too easy for them. They're going for a little bit extra difficulty, but Christian, I mean, I hear the music swelling. I'm excited. My hands are clammy. I feel like I'm competing, and, well, let's just be lucky that I'm not out there. I don't think any team could use me today.
I mean, I swear, these kids get better by the day. It is so impressive, just the basic skill level and routine level that we're seeing from some of these athletes. I mean, we're going to see so many, difficult connection tumbling passes, as I was talking about before we hopped on the screen, that I did not know people generally could do, even at the collegiate level. And now we're going to watch teenagers. We're going to watch, some very young athletes do these passes, these skills exceptionally well.
Well, you know what that bell means. It's time to go. Christian, who are we starting with?
All right, we're going to start on 4, where we have Daniel San Juanico, pardon me, of Region 5.
I really just love watching these athletes and thinking to myself, how would I have been in this moment? I know exactly what it's like. Your blood's pumping, and like we said, you're doing this for a team that's bigger than just yourself. For many athletes, this is the first meet that they've ever felt like that. Great full twisting double back to start the competition. Double front, one of those skills that's hard for these young guys. Punching just straight off of the floor. They don't have that muscular development yet, but I love seeing gymnastics like that. Triple full down the side, huge for a junior right there.
Yeah, that's a difficult skill to do down the diagonal. To be able to generate that power from just a couple steps down the side is very impressive.
So Christian, obviously a press handstand there. Are all athletes required to be doing some of those non-acrobatic moves?
They are, yeah. The element group 1, right, is going to be one of the families that every athlete has to touch if they want to receive full element group credit and maximize their difficulty, their starting score. Right, so we're going to see lots of presses. The scale is a new element. Not all of the athletes will have to do a scale. There's some other artistic requirements now. But for those of you who are into artistry, look at the corner transitions. Each corner transition is required to be different than the last.
Daniel, fantastic first set. Maybe not the cleanest, maybe not the hardest gymnastics of the entire day, but starting off with a hit routine. A little bit of a silly mistake, and he's beating himself up about it. You can see it on that non-acrobatic move. How often are you warming up your scale these days?
I mean, these days, you would think you'd want to do it very often. I mean, before the code change, I probably had not done a scale since level 4. So, I mean, at this point, your scale is just about the hardest skill in your routine. I mean, you crank a full in, right? You're kind of jittery because you're competing, and now you have to stand perfectly still on one leg, and it comes at you a little harder than you think.
Now we're going to vault. Man, Christian, I personally never loved starting on vault. It's a hard event to start on. Your blood's pumping. It's really tough to nail in that landing. And now we've got Aiden Hari. Aiden's actually following up a fall that we saw off screen. This is already one of those moments as a part of a team competition. This routine, how do you bounce back after a mistake? And this is something that you don't really get to deal with in the JO program when you're just competing for an individual medal. You don't have the ability to go after somebody that's fallen. You just kind of have to worry about yourself. But today, these athletes, some of them have never competed in a team scenario, and they'll have to follow a mistake. What does that feel like, Christian, to follow a mistake?
It's so personal how the pressure builds on you from athlete to athlete, right? So when the person in front of you falls, sometimes you feel an increased pressure to make sure you get that hit, to reestablish momentum for the team. Some athletes feel a lessened pressure because, if the guy in front of me messed up, now the pressure is a little off me because if I messed up, someone already else did, right? So that could also go through your head. I tended to swing the opposite direction where it was more, everyone in front of me have to hit already. Now I have to hit. Sure. I can't be the person who breaks the momentum. So sure. I was typically on the other end of the scale, putting the pressure on myself to make sure I'm competing at the level of my peers because I'm in lineup for a reason, right? And sure. These guys are relying on me for a reason, and it's only fair to them and myself and my coaches if I can represent that work well at this moment.
Speaking of somebody that used that same mentality, Steven Nedorosik, one of my Olympic teammates, said, I appreciated you guys going 17 for 17 routines. It set me up to finish the meet well. Man, what a guy that is, huh? What a great memory. Now we've got Mason Heath here on Pommel horse, triple Russian in the middle of the pommels. Do those pommels look extra wide to you?
No, they don't. He just looks exceptionally soft on his hands off the horse, unfortunately.
That's the thing about pommel horse. It's one little feeling, one little movement in excess of what you're trying to do, and you're off. You're off. I mean, I can speak to this feeling. unfortunately, when I was a junior, you know, everybody likes to say that as I got into college and I got into the Olympic scene, that I was a very consistent gymnast. When I was a junior, I was off the event every single day. I had a competition where I would either fall 4 times or 3 times. You know, I was never able to put it all together. But Christian, what we're seeing here is an early mistake from the favorites of the competition.
Oh, that is true, right? And horse is such a difficult event to start on. You mentioned you didn't like starting on vault. Horse was by far my least favorite event to start on. I never liked it personally, just because you're so jittery from the start of the competition, you haven't had time to settle in.
Let's be honest, Christian. I don't think anybody likes going to Pommel horse ever.
Yeah, Pommel horse, F tier to compete.
And now we've got on P-bars, Kieran Chetri.
Kieran has an older brother, Arun, who's going to be competing at Winter Cup as well in the evening session and competes for Stanford University.
Awesome. You know, they've got that similar great execution, you know, really nice lines. Arun, a fantastic athlete.
So we mentioned, you know, falls, resetting after falls, pressure and such. One thing I think that goes under talked about is how tiring falling is.
Oh, sure.
Because doing your routine all the way through, yes, it makes you tired, but starting and then you have to take a break, that lactic acid starts to build and you get in your own head, and then having to restart, I find more difficult than hitting a set.
So that's an example of what I'm talking about. Obvious, and look at that excitement. Love to see that from the young guys. And again, I think this competition, it just means more for these guys. You know, again, you're competing with guys that aren't necessarily your everyday teammates. These are guys that you see a couple times a year. Maybe you see them at the regional camps. Maybe you see them on the national stage. But there's none of that bonding. And that bonding really actually started for the national team on the senior side. That became a really big focus for us in the last couple of years, and I'd like to say that translated on the international stage. You see that you're competing for one another, it's a lot easier to compete. And I just want to make a comment about that fall that you were talking about. Falling is one of the most difficult parts about gymnastics. When you fall, your entire rhythm is thrown off. We talk about mental visualization. We talk about practicing how we compete. We don't practice mentally preparing for a fall. Tell me something that goes on in one of those top moments when you fall.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go through the routine in your head, right? Because when you are envisioning the routine and physically your body responds to that, right? You tense certain muscles, you go through the motions. You have to either jump back up from there at a point in which you're mentally unfamiliar with, you know, just the rhythm of the routine as it begins at that point rather than elsewhere. And that's something I always found exceptionally difficult. It's kind of like when you're singing the alphabet. If you were asked to start in the middle, it feels a little off, right?
It's a perfect analogy. Perfect analogy. All right, now we've got on high bar Tyler Malechki. I mean, Christian, my apologies. We've got Jacob Silva here on high bar. Jacob was doing large gymnastics there. I saw Kovacs and a straddle Tkachev. Talk about some of those skills.
I think you might be better at it than me. I was an all-arounder in college a little bit, but I did a vault catch. High bar was by far my worst event, and you were quite the extraordinaire. So I understand these skills can be pretty difficult to compete, right? Because every time you do a tap, it's the same general motions, but the timing, the way the bar reacts can all feel different.
Absolutely.
And so what is that like, you know, to have to adapt to the differences between the equipment and also do it under pressure?
Well, here's a great example. We've got Jacob Kinney here on vault, a very cleanly done double twisting Sukahara vault, also known as a Kaz full. You know, these guys, they might not be training on Spieth equipment, and obviously the equipment provider for this competition is Spieth. Fantastic equipment, been able to compete on all different types of equipment, AAI, Spieth, Gymnova, all different types of equipment, and you don't necessarily know what's coming your way when you compete. Now we've got Abe Stewart on parallel bars.
P-bars has a really unique look to it, at least for these younger athletes these days, because with the most recent code change, you have to continue your swing in the same direction, right? So you see lots of pirouettes and such, but unfortunately came off the rails there, doing some exceptionally difficult underbar work on the ends of the rails there. I mean, giant Diamondov is not a skill you see commonly at the college level. To be seeing this from a junior is extraordinarily impressive. But I mean, of course, it comes with the risk, right?
Yep.
You see him, he got a little bit off of a handstand angle, right? A little crooked on the giant Diamondov. And when he attempted to correct that on the giant afterwards, he missed his hand.
Do you think that was the nerves?
Probably. I mean, if you can do a giant Diamondov, you're not missing just, stock giants that often.
So what's really interesting about gymnastics, and unfortunately what Abe did there, is as soon as you remount the equipment after a fall, as soon as you touch the event, there are additional deductions that are coming your way. How you mount the equipment, the judges are able and allowed, and in my opinion, sometimes incentivized to take as much deductions as possible. So unfortunately, it looks like there's just, and we were talking about this earlier, that rhythm, that he interrupted the middle of his set. He wasn't able to kind of recollect himself beforehand. You've only got 30 seconds to remount the equipment and start. Unfortunately, that's probably not how Abe wanted to start his competition, but it's going to be an interesting journey to see how he rebounds from that.
Of course, and that being said, I just need to highlight, he did not give up on that set at all. There was a lot of difficult gymnastics in there, and he fought through all of it. And we're watching Jason Howe now on the rings. Rings is another event that it's so difficult to train when you are younger. You just don't have the musculature development. But look at Jason, the 2 iron crosses there, very impressive.
So Christian, a funny story that not many viewers would believe, but is actually true. I think the iron cross is kind of the epitome of men's gymnastics. That's what people believe. Would you have it that I never learned an iron cross?
Oh, that's funny. I could fully believe that. And admittedly, I was a rings guy in college. I was a big rings guy. And I think I competed in iron cross exactly 2 times. It wasn't worth it difficulty-wise. As soon as I learned that I could do cross and cross-pull planche or cross-pull Maltese, I was like, I'm just going to do the planches and Malteses because it's worth more.
Yeah, I can't relate. But nevertheless, a massive set for Jason, and definitely a reason that he made this Elite Team Cup. But like you said, rings at the junior level, it's a tough event to be good at. So if you've got that strength early on, you're going to be a candidate for this team and many to come. Now on high bar, we've got Ty Herzing. And that's a Ginger. That's new. And listen, I've been trying to follow gymnastics as much as possible since I've completed my career. These Gingers are coming back.
Yeah, no. So they received and a huge triple back
with cowboy or no cowboy.
That was no cowboy, I would say. He got his knees pretty well close together. That was a lot of big gymnastics to just start on the Ginger there. Ginger received an upgrade in this patch code. It was historically a C, but now it's a D. And what's awesome about that is Ginger, relative to a Kovacs, which is also a D, or a Stretch Tkachev, which is also a D, is not difficult, right? And so we're seeing it more because it's not that hard, but the best part is you get 2/10 for the combination, and I think that's my favorite part. We're seeing the skill come back into the meta, and it just leads to such unique high bar composition, and I really enjoy that it's been incentivized. But let's talk about that triple back. Triple from a junior, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, and we thought that we'd stop seeing these larger dismounts after they took away. Actually, there was that brief period of time where athletes such as Donnell Wittenberg, who were getting massive bonuses to their start value due to their dismount. The FIG, the Federation of International Gymnastics, also now known as World Gymnastics, incentivized large dismounts. We saw that for a brief period of time. There was a moment there where Donnell Wittenberg, an amazing senior athlete, had the hardest ring routine in the world. They since took that away, but we're still seeing these large dismounts.
Oh, and to be fair, if you can do them and you can do them well, it is still worth it, right?
Sure.
Because if you can do a triple tuck with your knees together and land upright, even if you take a 1/10 step, you're still ahead of someone who even stuck a double layout with a full twist.
Yeah, and there's one thing that's for certain is that we, at this early stage in the Olympic journey, we call it the Olympic quadrennium, we do not like to see people holding back on the difficulty today. We would rather see going for big early on in the quadrennium, early on in the 4 years following the previous Olympics, trying to get all that difficulty early on because there's going to come kinks with competing those big routines. You don't just suddenly go from never competing a triple back to competing a triple back. Now, Christian, unfortunately, we've now had a fall from Bo McCrea on Pommel horse. That is Region 3's second fall. Region 5, excuse me, on Pommel horse.
No, it's a tough way to start, but Pommel horse is notoriously an unforgiving event. So I doubt they will be the last victims of Pommel horse today, and there's a lot of gymnastics to be done. So we got Jackson working through this rings routine here, the swinging elements. Press handstand is deceptively difficult on rings. Even as a senior in college doing these other difficult strength elements, making sure to keep your arms straight and off the straps on press handstand, which you think is a basic skill, was strangely difficult. And so that's one of those skills you look at when you see juniors to see how they work through them. And Jackson worked well through that whole routine. He got a lot of airtime on that dismount.
You know, that was really well executed, that full twisting double backflip. I think that's exactly one of those things that I was talking about early when the stream started, competing within your boundaries. I'm sure Jackson at home is working on a double twisting double backflip or maybe a laid out position of that same dismount, but he's staying within his realm, he's staying within his boundaries and wants to execute for his team today. As we've already seen, today's going to be about hitting, not about massive routines.
Ryan Mills working on Pommel horse here for Region 3. I like his circle.
I really do too. You know, what does it feel like to put Ryan Mills in the anchor position at the back end of a couple of missed routines from his region, and they've got him in that anchor spot? I mean, there's no other place where you're going to be able to feel going last in a competition after a couple of falls when you need a hit. You know, we always talk about building that kind of experience for these younger athletes. How do they build that experience? Well, they build it here today. And that's why it's so important to keep these opportunities alive for these young athletes.
Yes. So we have Jackson Wilson working here on floor. And for those of you who are long-term gymnastics fans, this is son of great American gymnast Blaine Wilson.
Now, Blaine is a stay-at-home name kind of guy. Home staple name, excuse me, for many fans in the gymnastics era. Jackson taking after his dad here with some really, really clean gymnastics.
A double pike's another skill that received a slight upgrade of 1 tenth to a D value, so we're seeing more of those as well, especially as these level 10 and elite athletes are being required to dismount with double flipping, double flipping skill.
Man, you see that full twist to prone? What do you think about that? I don't know how I feel about it quite yet.
I'm not gonna lie, I find it cheeky. I do enjoy it. I like seeing the athletes do the full twist to prone. I think it looks fun. And on the off chance we get to see an athlete do a double twist to their stomach,
my gosh,
I think it's even better. So in terms of incentivizing artistry, I do think that the resurgence of the full twist to stomach is fun. And if you get creative about it, it looks really cool and flows really well in the routine. There's a viral clip from Riley Luce, who will be competing later today, in which he did the full spin to his stomach, and then he
hopped off of the floor
into a straight planche that he held, which is also a non-acro, right? And I think that's the kind of stuff I do want to see on floor, right?
Right now we've got Brody Schuller here on high bar. He did that same release move that I think, Christian, you said you used to do.
I did, all right. And I guarantee he's better than me. Right there is proof he's better than me at high bar. I never did a talk.
Oh, man, this is great to just see these lines. I mean, you can right away see it. Look at the form that these athletes got. And again, fans, we're not going to be seeing the same level of difficulty that we're going to be seeing from the senior later on today. But a full twisting double back to stuck landing. I mean, again, I want to hammer in that point. This is where the athletes learn that experience, where you feel like competing for something bigger than yourself.
All right, we got Vanden Haight working on floor. Connection tumbling on that first pass in which he steps out.
And now stepping out, I think sometimes that we like to look at that and think that it's a massive deduction, but really at the end of the day, I sometimes looked at those lines as guidance.
No, that's fair. I've definitely had my fair share of routines where I end up outside the boundaries.
You know, it's kind of like coloring books when you're young.
It's a suggestion, really. But, I mean, the penalty also is just not that bad, right? 1/10 for 1 foot, 3/10 for both feet. I feel like the bigger issue is clearly you got to recalibrate whatever, power issue got you out of bounds in the first place.
Sure, and I mean, let's not talk about that adrenaline, right? Like that first tumbling pass on the floor exercise. Next thing you're thinking is, I got to dial back. But the last thing that you want to do is dial back too much and end up short.
Of course.
See, I think Bandon's going to want that one back a little bit with that double full dismount. It's a little bit of an easier dismount for that athlete, and I really think that these guys, it's an exciting competition. It's fun to start. We'll run rotation in, Christian, and now we're going to be playing some balls for everybody. A quick event.
He looked over his shoulder though to try and spot that landing and help to minimize deductions.
Sure. Great cause full. I think that we're going to be mostly seeing athletes either within that 1.5 twist and occasionally a double twist, but what's really going to be impressive is if we see a gymnast that does 2.5 twists off the vault table, because that right there will be already ready for a senior competition and put them right in line for a national championship.
Oh, absolutely. Having a good, 4.8, Yes, 4.8 star value ball in that 2.5 is an immediate ticket to the college line, especially if you can find a landing on that every time.
Just like that.
Exactly.
What college coach doesn't want that?
Showing beautiful control. She's clearly a crowd favorite.
The most reliable Wi-Fi at one price for 5 years. Guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the exceptional orthopedic care at Baptist Health, with a skilled team of dedicated specialists, along with advanced services and procedures, it's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
Come see gymnastics like never before at the 2026 American Cup, March 7th at Lee's Family Forum. Be there as Las Vegas hosts this international team showdown with the world's best men and women competing side by side in a high-stakes elimination format where only one nation remains. You've never seen gymnastics like this. Tickets on sale now. Visit AmericanCup.com for more information. Don't miss any of the excitement at the 2026 American Cup.
Gymnastics fans, the American Cup is almost here. Join us in Las Vegas on March 7th.
Okay, so now I understand that it's not the Jasmine name at the top. See, I was doing only the name at the top.
Okay.
It's because it'll say like competing, scoring, etc. All right, let's see if the chat's liking it. Chat, we liking it. It's so refreshing to have
Like
elite.
being asked about your skill?
I don't mind. I'm messing with you guys. Yeah, it's cool. Hey, how many scores count?
It's
6 of 5?
No, it's 8-man team, 6
show up.
Oh, so they can eat a couple falls.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
All my friends texted and
All right, and we are back here with a very special guest. But in the meantime, right now we've got Avery Bechtold on high bar. Christian, what are we looking for here on high bar?
Hey, we're looking for angles, we're looking for sticks, and most importantly, we're looking to stay on the bar.
Oh, that's 100% true. Going up first in the lineup, what kind of position is that on high bar, or on any event for that matter? Is this going to be their biggest event? Is this going to be their biggest guy on the event, or is this somebody that's going to be a little bit more calm and steady, kind of set the tone for the team?
Yeah, definitely closer to the latter. I think there's this unofficial belief that the first routine is the worst, and that is far from the truth. The first routine, I mean, first of all, is definitively in lineup, right? Regardless of where it is in the lineup. But most importantly, the leadoff routine is meant to set the tone. It's meant to be a consistent and good hit to set the tone for the rest of the event and the athletes who come afterwards.
Kind of give the guys after him a little bit less stress. You know, this is the guy that's hopefully not going to be making the major mistakes.
Absolutely.
All right, fans, we have a very special guest with us. We've got Raj Bhavsar, the Development Program Director. Raj, thanks so much for joining us on the stream.
Thank you. Yeah, good to be here.
Raj, you've got an impressive resume.
Do I?
Olympian, multiple-time national champion, and the immortal skill on P-bars, the Bhavsar. Raj, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do with these young athletes. What do you want to see from these guys, and what do you really want to see them grow into?
Well, I'm so proud of this entire junior program. We've made incredible leaps in terms of closing gaps of difficulty so we can actually compete with the stronger countries. I don't know anybody that followed this last year. It was historic for both seniors and the juniors. We came off Junior World Championships. We had never medaled there before. We came home with 4 medals. So ultimately, we want to continue on that momentum, you know, that we have that M word working behind us. We've got big stuff coming up this year. Really what I want to see these guys do ultimately is transition to becoming excellent seniors, right? And that foundation starts here.
And what do you think has led to that increase of difficulty and that increased success on the international stage?
So multiple things. We put tools in place in competition, things like the D-score bonus table. It's works kind of like a skill cushion for these guys to go out there and gain experience doing harder skills in competition. So they're able to take more risk while staying in the game score-wise. So that's one. I think another big one is when we get together at national team camps, there's a lot of messaging around this. Like, here's what the world is doing, and we do full detailed analysis, scores, all of that stuff, and we show what is competitive. And then when everybody goes home, that's what they're tasked of doing, is to make themselves internationally competitive. So that's just a couple of things we're doing. I would put a lot on these guys. These guys have really owned it, right? They've taken this messaging back to their gyms. Not only are they trying to improve their own personal D-score, but they're trying to share the message with the rest of their programs. Like, hey, come on, guys, you guys can all do this. Let's all up our game. So it's pretty cool to see.
Sure. So one thing that Christian and I are identifying in this competition particularly is this is really one of the first times in the year that they compete for something other than themselves. When you're in the JO program, you're competing for that all-around spot. Let's be honest. You're going to meets, you're wanting to win the all-around. In this competition, you're no longer competing for a last name on your back. You'll see on a lot of these athletes, there are no last names on their back identifying them. It's the color of their uniform. What's that like, and what kind of experience does that give the athletes early on in their career for when they end up going to college or they end up competing for the United States of America?
Well, that's the biggest thing here. That's what the Elite Team Cup is about. It's pride in where you're from. It's a belief in where you're going, right? And then, like you said, a commitment to something larger than yourself. And I think what I love about this meet is it gives everybody the kind of experience that we would have at an international team meet, or if you're serving on any kind of team, a college team, right? So these guys are getting experience very early in their careers. What is it like to be on a gymnastics team? Even though you go out there as an individual and you perform, there's absolutely a team chemistry component, and that's what's going on here. So it's really cool to watch.
Speaking of that team component, I know from my personal experience going to so many different senior national team camps that have been in conjunction with the junior national team camps, sometimes that's the fire under me that I need to see, that some juniors like eyeing me down and says, I know that you're lacking on this event. I see where you're at. And I get that little push that I need to know, hey, no matter what, there are athletes that are going to be vying for my spot if I don't keep it up.
That's cool that you were aware of that, and that very much courses through the veins of a lot of these guys. They watch athletes like yourselves, the senior national team members, and they say, I want to be that. And then for some of them, they want to be that right away, and so they get after it, right? And so that's why we love bringing the juniors and seniors together at that camp. It's one of my favorite camps.
Christian, you know, speaking from your experience, you might not have had the most traditional route to getting to the NCAA program.
No, I did not.
Maybe speak about the differences and that some of these guys, they might be late bloomers.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Especially being an athlete who's stronger on rings, it just took longer for me to develop the skills that made me competitive in college. That being said, the easiest culture shock was, the difference in competing for a team. I did not compete at any Elite Team Cups. And so when my junior competitive experience was directly, oppositional to everyone I was competing against. It was, I'm trying to beat you, you're trying to beat me, and that was the extent of the relationship. And so to get to college where I'm now competing for a team, and there are so many athletes who, yes, I'm competing against them, but now have a direct and personal investment in me as a person, let alone as me and an athlete, that led to just an explosion of growth, not only, as an athlete, but just as a person, right? And I think just being able to grow in that environment was imperative for my college experience. And so seeing that there's a concerted effort to start that camaraderie at the base level and then build it to the collegiate level where these athletes are now on the international stage, I think is the perfect plan, because, you know, experiencing it on the back end myself was, once again, imperative for my development.
Well, Raj, listen, hey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, yeah. Are we done?
Unless you've got anything else that you want to let the
I like
fans
hanging
know.
out with you guys.
Well, you got to hop in and do a little bit of commentating. Right now,
All right.
we've got Vanden Hak on Pommel Horse. What are you looking for, Pommel Horse, Raj? You know, you competed Pommel Horse. You competed in the Olympics.
I did.
What's Pommel Horse like at the most elite level competition?
I think you and I might share the same thoughts around this, right? It's obviously it's very nerve-wracking. It's such a technical event. You know, if you're off even just millimeters, then the entire skill is thrown off rhythm, and then now you're in this fight situation and you're trying to regain momentum, and that's never fun. So what I always try to do is give myself the thoughts to have a calm and consistent circle. Did it always go that way? No, it did not. But at least that's what I told myself.
You know, everybody has that same thought of, hey, I'm just going to go up and do my Pommel Horse routine just like I trained all week long.
Yeah.
And then you grab the Pommel Horse and you realize your hands are numb.
Yeah.
You know, Mike Tyson has that great quote that says, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
That's right.
Everybody's got a plan on Pommel Horse until you mess up your scissor.
Yeah.
110%.
Everybody's got a plan until you're 3 up, 3 count, and that camera's right on you on Pommel Horse, right?
Massive full double front there, Christian. One of those skills that you were talking about that you're shocked to see juniors competing.
Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't a combination you saw, even at the elite level. You just did not really see people doing full punch double fronts. And then it was incentivized in this code with some value changes, especially as double front is more or less required in every floor routine if you want to get full element group value. And now I see every other athlete doing this combination full double front, and no one did it before. I just didn't know this was a thing everyone could do until they started pulling it out and absolutely stomping it like he just did. I mean, he's cooking through this floor routine. Big triple full after the full double front. And now he's doing the connection tumbling again with the 2.5 punch layout, which he landed so well upright.
I'm not going to jinx it.
Huge double pike.
I might have jinxed it as I said it. Raj, I heard you say, wow, in the middle of that routine. What did that surprise you? What did you like about that routine?
He had a nice, there you go. Beautiful control landing on the triple pull, had a lot of amplitude. That was a great floor routine.
Fans, off screen, we just saw a handspring double full, Christian, a vault that we can see in the senior session, and it would be very competitive, get stomped, stuck right in front of us.
And I want everyone to know Region 4, who is on vault right now, has been absolutely cooking through their vault rotation. We had an athlete stick a Yurchenko double full. Then we had 2 athletes land 2.5. I refer to vaults by the number of twists done. So 2 athletes landed 2.5, and then we had this athlete come and do a front handspring double full for the same value, that 4.8, those more difficult vaults, and stuck it cold. I told you, keep an eye on Region 4, man. They are swinging for the fences here. Not just the win, they are shooting for the moon.
Christian, I have to say, it sounds like that's momentum. And we know in our athletic careers, momentum can either kill you or make you great.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've got stuck landing after stuck landing on vault. The next athlete, like you talked about, wants to support and continue that train. That's what it feels like to have momentum. And again, you don't get this kind of experience anywhere but a team competition.
Oh, 100%. A vault stick train is easily one of the most exciting and best experiences in gymnastics. To watch, to do it yourself, be one of the athletes who sticks, and then watch all of your teammates do just as well is a level of hype they couldn't replicate in a lab, as far as I'm concerned.
So here we've got now Region 4 on the vault, like you were talking about, Christian. So we've got some of the more, I won't want to call them layup vaults in the beginning, but then comes the powerhouses.
Look at all these athletes. Everyone doing their job. 1.5 landed, double full landed, double full landed.
I think we know what's coming up.
Look at this, gorgeous, and boom!
Right down the middle.
I mean, it's gorgeous.
Would you say that's like a toothpick in a club cylinder?
I would, in fact, but I might get copyrighted.
And here we go. Here's this handspring. Double full.
Boom.
Right down the middle. And I wish the camera could kept playing it just for a couple of seconds. The entire Region 4 crowd, their entire team was standing right there at the edge of the runway, and he embraced all of them. I mean, you're not going to have that kind of experience anywhere but this competition. Christian, you and I talked about, these are athletes generally within your region that you're competing week to week during the competitive season. You're not trying to embrace them as they do better than you, but at this competition, all around means nothing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, these are rivalries being quashed because nothing is better than beating everyone else except from your hometown. You know what I mean?
Love it. Christian, we now just saw 2 massive Malteses on the rings. For a junior, that's almost unheard of.
Oh, I cannot believe that he is strong enough to do this. I mean,
check out that handstand, though. Like we talked about, the handstand, he's got all the strength, but the handstand is killing him here.
Yeah, handstand is deceptively difficult.
And just looked like he bit off a little more than he could chew there.
With the double-double?
Sure.
I mean, Maltese, swing handstands, and a double-double. That is a collegiate-level routine, and not just a collegiate-level routine. That's a collegiate anchor-level routine.
I'm going to say something that's a little bit indemnifying. That routine was harder than stuff that I competed.
Hey, man, I told you that guy did a better, that one athlete did a better vault catch than I did on high bar, right? So there are no egos on this broadcast. But I mean, it was very good rings work, and it might have been a little bit much for right now, but importantly, the strength will get better, his endurance will get better.
So going back to that, Raj, kind of what Christian's alluding to, it's the risk taking is now for these juniors, right? This is not the time for these juniors to come back, sit comfortable, figure out a routine that's going to coast for them. They're trying to push that envelope, and that's what you guys are incentivizing with the difficulty bonus scoring table, correct?
Yes, exactly. And it's also February. It's early in the season. Things are going to get ironed out. So it's actually good they're coming out here and getting experience with the higher level skills. You can't really coast. If you coast in terms of your D-score, I actually talk about this at the national team camps, you just eventually get surpassed. You at least have to do gradual steps up the ladder, especially if these guys are going to transition into becoming great seniors. You just have to have that mentality.
I totally understand. You know, most people like to mention that the fact that I might not have ever had the largest difficulty in my routines, but what I definitely did do was that stepstone. Every single year I was able to add a couple of tenths, and absolutely I focused on the execution of those tenths, which is sometimes just as important, but doing big gymnastics is hard. Listen, traveling on the road, doing big skills. One day your Tkachev is your hardest skill, and the next thing you know, that's your warm-up. So these things take time.
Absolutely.
Large.
I want to ask you a question, Paul.
Tell me.
Okay. What do you miss the most? Do you miss it? What do you miss?
Yeah. You know, it's a tough question, right? Unfortunate fall there, and we'll get to that in a second. I would say maybe the thing that I miss is the locker room, right? That's probably the biggest thing that you miss. And one thing about gymnastics that I've tried to hammer into a lot of my friends is that you're never going to have an environment like the guys that you grew up doing gymnastics with. Nobody understands what it's like to be on the P-bars, making a bad grip, and going to have to do a massive routine. Nobody understands that but your fellow gymnasts. Nobody understands what it's like to salute for a high bar set when your hands are cold and you're tired. Nobody gets that. And those conversations that you have, that's what I miss. But the best part about gymnastics is you're going to be able to have those relationships for the rest of your life and reminisce on those moments. So as much as I do miss it, you know what I don't miss?
What's that?
Is the pain that ensues.
Yeah, the pain.
But one fun little tidbit about you, Raj, is that you introduced yoga to a lot of the junior and senior guys. And for those last couple of years, when I was starting to get to that age of 23, 24 years old, and my body does hurt, that was something that kept me going.
I'm happy to hear it. And that was one reason behind it, because it played such a huge role in my career. I actually made the Olympic team at 27 years old. So there's no way I could have done that without taking care of my body in some other capacity that wasn't just the normal gymnastics recovery or stretching or whatnot. So I took on yoga, and it made a big difference for me. And then now I love passing on all of these experiences that helped change my career. That's what I do, essentially share it with these guys now. So really happy to hear that it did something for you.
So what about these juniors, right? One thing that I know that was super important in my career was longevity. You might be the greatest 14-year-old in the United States, but guess what? If you don't got wrists at 17, what was it worth? So, so that's got to be playing into the factor for you guys. You know, difficulty, these big routines, it's a brutal sport. It's a hard sport. These routines cause wear and tear on the body. How do you balance that?
We've had to emphasize in our messaging, and especially to the coaches, that, you know, because gymnastics is getting more difficult, more complex, skills take longer to learn, that the rest and recovery piece is not something that can just be overlooked. It absolutely needs to be built into the periodization of a training plan. How many weeks, how many days, when do you come down, when do you allow the body to recover? And then for the athletes directly, right, there are now so many more recovery tools than when I had, when we were competing, right? So we're telling all the athletes, like, use them, right? Like, do you understand sleep? Do you understand nutrition? Like, nutrition's a big piece in how you guys recover overnight, along with your sleep and all of these things. So we've had to talk about this, because you're absolutely right. Longevity, staying healthy so you can actually play the game is the biggest piece. And then when you get to something like an Olympics or a World Championships, you never want a nagging injury to be the thing that holds you back from your best possible performance.
So what you're saying, Raj, is if you had Normatec and you had a Hyperice and you had massage guns, 2028 might have been on the calendar for you?
Maybe it's still on the calendar.
I'll be looking forward to that warm-up.
Get this man an ice bath.
Yeah. Fantastic. Now we've got Ryan Mills on
gorgeous
rings.
upright cross. Yeah, that was a fantastic entry. And then the cross itself was perfectly level. He tried to open those hands and show that he's not shortening his lead arm, as we see it again right there. Show that he's not cheating skill at all, and that he is strong enough to hold that perfectly flat.
Christian, what's great about Ryan that I just noticed is that Ryan was also the anchor on Pommel horse. Kind of starting to feel like this athlete for Region 3 is their anchor guy. He's the guy that's going to calm the storm if they've had a couple of bad routines.
It's a great place to be, and a man after my own heart. I anchored Pommel horse and rings in college, and it becomes a job and a mindset more than it is actually competing a routine, right? To know that you are that last line of defense for the rotation. If it went poorly, your job is to set it right, and if it went well, your job is to be the exclamation point, right? And that just mental switch, I think, is the most important part about competing at that anchor spot, more so than any gymnastics you're doing. Because there were times where I would compete in the anchor spot, not because I was doing the most difficult routine or I was guaranteed to be the highest score. It was because they knew if they put Marsh up, Marsh would hit, right? And that was my job for the team. It was to keep that momentum going or reestablish it. Just working in tandem with that leadoff position to sandwich the rotation properly.
Fantastically said. Hey, Raj, well, thank you so much for hopping on. We appreciate the insight to what these juniors are doing in their careers. I'm sure they all appreciate realizing that you're just the guy that wants to make their lives better.
Appreciate that, Paul, and we're super proud of you. Awesome run, awesome career. Christian, nice to hang out. This was fun. You guys made it easy, and enjoy the rest.
All right, tell everybody else we don't bite. Thanks so much for hopping on.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We'll be back soon with Rotation 3.
See Gymnastics' biggest stars at the 2026 Xfinity U.S. Gymnastics Championships at the Mortgage Matchup Center in Phoenix. Cheer on Olympic medalists and the next generation of USA Gymnastics stars as they rise to the challenge and vie for national titles. Tickets on sale now. Visit XfinityChampionships.com for more information. Don't miss any of the action at the 2026 Xfinity U.S. Gymnastics Championships.
Earth, from the horizontal comforts of your couch, is merely dirt and sticks and moss and bugs and stuff. But when you're double backflipping off a backcountry cliff, or hallucinating on 1 million micrograms of exhaustion, you might just see Earth as a world of endless attractions. Welcome to the... Hello? Excuse me, I was still talking. Anyway, welcome to the world of... all conditions gear!
Sonia and Gerald trust Prevagen for their brains, and this is their story.
I'm Sonia.
And I'm Gerald, and we live in Jacksonville, Florida.
We are both military veterans, and we provide dental care for underserved communities. We have a very busy life.
We take Prevagen for our brains.
I would honestly say I like the way that Prevagen makes me feel. At the end of the day, I feel confident and amazing.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
Extraordinary to me is
hard work.
Leaving a positive impact. Being the best version of myself.
Being fearless.
Faith. Confidence.
Accountability. Believing. Having the courage to follow your dreams.
Perseverance. Walking in with confidence.
Determined. Authenticity. Resilience.
Making a difference.
To succeed in gymnastics, it takes strength, determination, dedication, and it takes you. The USA Gymnastics Foundation raises funds to empower athletes at all levels and disciplines of our sport and to enrich communities for all-around success. Give to the USA Gymnastics Foundation today, because their success starts with you.
Hello and welcome back. Now it's time for a Prevagen Memorable Moment, as we take a look back at some highlights from the 2025 Elite Team Cup, where Region 3 athletes were crowned champions for the second straight year. The team consisted of Andres Aranda, Sean Armstrong, Hunter Egan, Joseph Hale, Jesse Haney, Joshua Haney, Kiefer Hong, and Nicholas Kosarikov. Prevagen for your brain.
All right, after 2 rotations, Christian, Region 4, atop the podium. Christian, this is a massive lead they've got going right now.
Yeah, I mean, 4 points is gigantic. Part of that, of course, is due to the fact that they've had the opportunity to vault, right? So they've gotten to do rings in vault thus far, vault being the highest scoring event in men's gymnastics, and rings being an event that's typically harder to fall off on, right? So consistent and a score boost, right? Which leads to that, you know, that gap a little bit. But also, I mean, they showed up and out on vaults.
Sure, kind of a tight race here between 5, 4, and 3. I mean, it's still, in my opinion, anything can happen in gymnastics, right? It's not a set in stone. These are not going to be the same leaderboard results that we have after 6 rotations. But something to keep note of, as you mentioned, Region 4 started on rings, which means they're going to be ending on pommel horse.
This might be a hot take. I actually don't mind ending on pommel horse.
Okay,
my perception's distorted, of course. Being a pommel horse anchor, the pressure of it being at the end of a meet didn't really get to me. But I mean, it's got to be kind of a good omen at this point. You guys ended on a horse to win bronze in Paris, man.
Yeah, we did. We did. One could say that wasn't chosen. Okay, so Christian, I just saw something from an athlete, and obviously I know what's going on here with the honey, but why do gymnasts use honey on their hands, especially on some events like P-bars?
As cartoonish as it sounds, it actually does in fact help you stick to the equipment, right? There's a little bit of a chemistry situation going on where athletes mix chalk, water, and honey. Some people use corn syrup. I've seen Canadians use maple syrup.
Sure.
All right. And they'll use that to help them stick to the bar, get a grip for those underhang elements on parallel bars.
And every athlete's kind of different, right? Like some athletes like it a little bit more sticky, a little bit more wet. Some athletes like to have a lot of chalk, not a lot of chalk. It's all dependent on the athletes. But right now we've got Shane Cumbermack, and kind of looks like he's going to be one of those early on sets. That set that anybody's going to go crazy about, but a set that's going to start the momentum.
Of course.
I'll be really curious to see personally, though, how Region 4 continues the momentum that they just had off of vault.
And it looks like, that was a good hit routine. I also really liked his double pike, which I'm going to harp on a little bit there. I think that double pike has fallen a little bit out of the meta with the changes to how element groups are rated, but he had great compression, good swing through, very nice pike, and he landed very well, right? And if you can do all of that, right, and once you get to the point where you're sticking it consistently, it makes infinitely more sense to do that than a double front, right? It's so hard to get your knees together in a double front.
Sure.
It's a blind landing versus, a spotted landing with a back double pike. And so when I see athletes doing double pikes like that, it's just a little chef kiss moment, right?
Sure.
Where, it's a little vindicating to know that there's some people out there who are who are doing it right,
Christian, actually, I loved doing gymnastics right. That was something that was always important to me. As I grew up, I realized I cared less about the skills and how big and how hard they were. I cared more about when people watch my gymnastics and when I watch my gymnastics online and on the videos, I wanted to be proud of the gymnastics I did. And I think that we're actually seeing a resurgence of that. Great first routine on pommel horse. Maybe not the biggest difficulty for Jacob Silva, but a hit set on pommel horse. Man, oh man, this is going to be a good meet.
Yeah, no, he's been doing well today.
Up next on P-bars, we've got Elijah Connor. I mean, look at these vault scores, 13, 7, 8. These are big scores. This is why Region 4 is in the lead right now.
All right, now's the time to capitalize.
Sure.
Make that lead insurmountable. You get great bounce on the end of the bars, right? That's part of the reason a lot of these athletes start on the outside. Not only does it give them room for those, Moy elements, right? That's a pelt we just saw. But it also gives you great bounce on the bar, good elevation. It just makes those skills pop a little easier and a little better.
Christian, this Elijah, he looks a little bit taller than the traditional gymnast, maybe. Oh, well, I know you're going to have something to say about this one. That was a double front, really well executed, some would say.
Yeah, well,
you would say.
Okay. I am a little particular about double fronts on parallel bars. I held myself to that same standard. I had a pretty good double front on parallel bars. That being said, I am more forgiving of juniors who do it because they have time to get those knees together, right?
Sure.
Get those knees together, cleaner front uprise, and to spot that landing well. If you do a double front right, it sticks itself, is what I say.
Oh, I really like that.
And I think that was presented well there, right? I think he got great elevation off the bars, and he knew where the floor was very well. And so I don't think he needs to cowboy that for much longer. And I'll give him until he's in college, all right? And then I'll be a little meaner.
I understand you. I appreciate your kindness.
I don't think I landed. I think I landed exactly 2 double fronts on parallel bars my entire senior year in high school. So I'm sympathetic to the cause.
Would you say that? Oh, unfortunately, looks to be something that just happened on rings. Might have been a cramp or something like that. Right now we're going over to P-bars again, though, and we've got London Norris.
The back upright handstand. Getting that upper arm element group, which is such a difficult element group to get value in because the skill jump is crazy, right? So that back upright handstand's a B, and otherwise you see a regular front uprise,
which is only an A,
and then it's Hanma and front uprise stutz. I mean, the skill jump is insane.
And that's actually one of those competition skills that I truly don't think develops until you've got, call it the manly build, the post-puberty boost that a lot of athletes get. And I think, talking to Raj earlier, it's really awesome to see that Raj is pushing that difficulty for a lot of these young guys. But something that's really important that not a lot of people understand is that boost doesn't always just happen overnight. And what's really tough as a young junior athlete, we watch these senior athletes and we want to do those big skills, but our bodies just clearly aren't ready. We know biologically that we mature later on than women, and sometimes our elite spurts don't happen till 17, 18, 19 years old. I mean, you heard it from Raj there, 27 years old when he made that Olympic team. I mean, you gotta believe that it's coming at some point.
Yeah, and it is both slower and faster than you'd think. When I have the opportunity to speak to young athletes at college camps and whatnot, I like to remind them, because it was such a shock to me, that you have to become man-sized at some point. Is how I put it so delicately, right? And it comes with lots of benefits, right? Where you get stronger, right? Those skills become a little bit easier to build power on, maintain power on, and just hold strength-wise. Mm-hmm. That being said, the changes to your body and how the equipment reacts to that can be really tough on the mental side. So it's important to view that in a positive way, because you do have to become adult sized at some point, and that's a good thing.
No, and here's the other thing too. We're so lucky in a lot of cases to have coaches that have gone through it with different athletes, that have seen your gymnastics go from, hey, maybe you were kind of that kind of smaller, skinnier guy that was 5'1" and weighed 105 pounds, and then you grow over summer and you're 5'6" and you're 160. I mean, that happens. Oh, and that makes gymnastics a lot harder right away. But, we've got so many great athletes and so many great coaches that are there to be those mentors, those supporters. I mean, I've got a huge smile on my face just watching these guys celebrate. I think Raj said, what's something that I miss about gymnastics? It's that feeling of hitting a set that you worked hard for. Man, there's nothing like that.
That and the appropriate pop-off, you know what I mean?
Of course.
I think hitting a set is hype, and then losing your mind about it activates a kind of almost like primal energy, especially in teenage boys, that just excitement builds excitement. That was a gorgeous vault.
Well, that was a beautiful vault. That was a 2.5 twisting vault.
Which he struggled on a little bit in warm-up there, but it was done very well right now.
Landed within bounds with a very small deduction. I mean, I kind of feel like Region 3 needs that right now.
Oh, 100%. Cole Miller getting ready to swing on high bar for us. Starting in mixed grip here. So that reverse hecht over the bar. Cranking for a release here.
Ooh.
Off the bar.
Unfortunate. And, it's one of those things where, it didn't look like that was a brand new skill for Cole. That looked like something that he probably regularly catches at home, understands how the tap works, and understands the skill in its entirety. But you get to a meet like this, and we kind of said it with Raj, everybody's got a plan till you get on a piece of equipment that you've never been on before. Mm-hmm. Is the tension on the cables going to be the same as you compete at home or train on at home? Is the food that you ate at the day of the competition the same that you regularly eat? Those are kind of those things that, as you get older, you don't really realize are that important. But as I prepared for my kind of Olympic journey and for all those big competitions and big moments, those are kind of those last little bits of pieces that I wanted to make sure I hashed out and had absolutely no regrets going into that last elite push. It's crossing all those T's and dotting all those I's, literally.
Yeah, controlling the variables you can control.
Exactly.
All right, and he finishes up that routine. He repeated the release move, which is smart. I mean, you got to hit that element group, right? He had some struggle coming out of it, but that being said, he finished the rest of the routine well, right? Make sure he hit all his skills and got through it, right? And now the job is up to his teammates to pick up that momentum and reset from there. But, I mean, we talked about, high bar is just a battle of inches, millimeters more than any other event, right? Did you tap at the right time? Did the bar react at the right time? Did you drop in at the right point? And, you do it, mechanically almost exactly the same every time. And whether or not you're within that millimeter range is just so unforgiving.
And you know what the worst part is when you're in the middle of a release and you know you're going to be missing it. That is, there's nothing more frustrating than reaching out with your entire fingertips and being a millimeter away. I mean, there's literally nothing more frustrating. I've gone through so many mental blocks, specifically on Kovacs, which is a double backflip over the bar, catch back on, where I was within 1 inch of the bar every single turn for 20 in a row. And it's just one of those most frustrating moments. Big double pike there for a dismount for a young junior. You know, the double pike did get upgraded, this code, correct, to a D?
It did. Yeah, and I see, just a little low there, but he managed to hold on to that. He is so much stronger than I ever was. I would be off the rings 100%.
Christian, no. I would still be on the rings, but my shoulders would be off the rings. I think my socket would have just exploded.
But, I mean, he does another one afterwards, right? There's a reason he's doing these cross skills, and clearly he's strong in that position.
Right now, this is Max Lazinak. I mean, Max, I got to give you a ton of credit there. I don't know what kind of strength program you're on at home, but it is clearly working. Just has to finish up here with the dismount. I mean, you're exhausted from those crosses, and he sticks the landing, though.
Yeah, no, right up and down.
You know, let's see if he grabs that shoulder at all. I mean, those were low.
Yeah, I am impressed he managed to hold on to that. Crosses, another reason I didn't do them is because I found them to be especially tough on my shoulders, and doing so much rings, I didn't find it sustainable for me personally.
Sure.
Whereas when I did the Maltese and planche work, I was able to activate different muscles, right? Yeah. I could use more chest or back or lat depending on what was tired, and that was helpful.
You know, I always love talking to rings guys because I quite never understood what that meant to activate different muscles on the rings. I got to the Maltese and I prayed for about 5 seconds while I was in there. And those 5 seconds actually felt like 10 seconds, and they actually lasted about a second and a half. So
to be fair, a lot of it is just like, you know, minute muscle changes that are extraordinarily difficult to communicate. And I was often the worst about it when my teammates would ask me. If I didn't feel like fully explaining, I would tell them to just push down.
Well, and fans, as you can see, Christian may be a fantastic commentator, but maybe not the guy that you go to ask how do you do a better Maltese.
Hey, man, look at John Irwin from William & Mary, all right, and tell me whether or not I communicate it well. Shout out, John.
It's awesome. That's just awesome. All right, now we're back on Pommel horse, and right now we've got a Jack Allen.
Yeah, Jack Allen.
Jack Allen.
Pardon me. He helped me pronounce it. Cecchini.
Thank you, Christian.
Yeah.
You know, I saw, unfortunately, the early mistake and, unfortunately, double mistake. One of those things about pommel horse, especially falling off more than once, you know, it's fighting that mental battle inside yourself of not giving up. You know, I'd be remiss if I said that I haven't given up on routines before. And you look back on it, and it never makes sense. You give up on a routine, you look back and you kick yourself in the butt when you're walking home. Why did I give up? Why did I look like that? Why did I let myself down? Doesn't look like Jack Allen has done that yet, but it's such a difficult thing to face. And man, unfortunately, Jack Allen has just been getting a little bit, unfortunately, unlucky with some of his hand placements here, but he's still in it. He's still got his head up. He still wants to finish the routine, and that's the brutal part about gymnastics, too. You don't get to just say, no thanks, I'm done. You have to finish a set.
And especially not in a team competition. It also looks like he's getting some word from his coach here on how to finish up. But the skills he was falling on are also very difficult. It's important to mention. You heard me exclaim, oh, a McGill knee, because that's a difficult and not very common traveling skill. Mm-hmm. And when he got back up and repeated, he repeated to a woo, which is also very difficult, right? It could have been a Roth, that 360, 720 rushing across the horse long ways. Right, and these are ED level skills that you were seeing from a junior on pommel horse. So these are skills that you see seniors mess up all the time.
And that's kind of what I think Raj was alluding to. He would rather see these young guys push for that difficulty today rather than coast.
You got to stay hungry if you want to keep improving.
100%.
You can't build intrinsic motivation for someone else, right? If you
perfectly well said.
You want to work with an athlete who wants it, and that athlete has to want it themselves. So looking after those athletes who are a little bit hungry, I think is perfect for what they have planned for the U.S. Men's Gymnastics program on the international level.
Looks like we got the anchor on high bar now. Right now, Aiden Hari What a fantastic way to finish. Laid out, full twisting double layout, full twisting double layout off the high bar. Christian, I'm going to be honest here and tell you guys a little bit of an insight. That's probably one of my favorite skills to compete.
Oh, I bet.
You get to see the ground the entire time when you're going off the high bar. And probably the best part about that is after slamming a routine and knowing in the air you're going to stick, I'm already thinking about how I'm going to mog everybody.
Of course. I mean, that's the celly is just as important as the routine. But you could tell he was really comfortable in the air on that skill. He knew exactly where he was. He knew the stick was going to happen. And I just appreciate an athlete where you can feel their confidence in the skill, while they're working through the routine. It's just that invisible edge that brings the routine to the next level.
100% agree. Great routine here. A little bit of that cowboy and that double front. Again, though, we're going to give him some slack, right? He's only a junior, so he's going to hash that out as he gets older.
I was more impressed by the support work during the routine, the Peters. The Peters, which is that stutz to one rail where they end up sideways for just a little bit, facing outward on the parallel bar. I mean, it's just very difficult. And it's not difficult in that it's hard to swing up, hop to one rail. It's hard to do that, not fall over, and to keep your arms straight and to keep your legs together, and to also hit a perfect handstand while you do so, right? I find with these D-level skills in particular, like a Peters is a D-value skill, the skills are either hard to do or they're hard to do well. And Peters is one of those skills that is hard to do well. Because anybody can just throw a Peters.
Sure.
Not everybody can compete one.
Sure, and I would also say anybody can throw a Peters when there's mats that are stacked up all the way to the top of the P-bars and you're not worried about falling on your face.
Yeah, and which I've done, actually. When they came up with the code changes, which incentivized, that the skills like the Peters, right, these D value or higher support skills, it increased purity between athletes.
Sure.
Because a Diamondov or a Stutz are not as difficult as a Peters or a Makut's, right? And I really like that change because I tried Makut's exactly twice. And I jammed my thumb both times. And
you were done with it.
I don't care. I'm not going to do this skill, right? It's not worth it to me. And same thing with Peters. I did Peters for like a week or so until I went up and I missed both rails and fell through them straight on my head. And I was like, you know what, man, I don't want this skill anyways. And so I appreciate
people that can work upper bar.
Well, yes, of course, but I like the parity, right? Because they're getting, you can do that D value or a higher support skill, right? You're getting 5/10 for the element group and the D value for the skill. So that's a total of 9/10.
Sure.
Whereas if you do a Diamondov now for your support skill, and you get 3/10 for the skill because it's a C, and you get 3/10 for the element group. So 6/10 versus 9/10.
Yeah, for one skill.
Exactly. And I think that difference is important because the fact that that skill was difficult to do, it was scary to do, he should be scoring
rewarded
better than me on it. And it should be incentivized, it should be rewarded because I was literally not going to do it.
A great insight. Great insight. I want to just go back before we cover this P-bar routine to Brody Schuller. Brody followed up that unfortunate multiple fall routine from Jack Allen with a hit set. That, I want to say, is just commendable. It's not easy to go up after a fall. It's especially not easy to follow up an athlete who seems to have, unfortunately, kind of lost the momentum that the team was building. Right now, massive front straddle flip on P-bars. Some people called it the Kung Fu flip.
Yeah, right. He also mounted with the Hanma, and he did a P chance on the other. That's a Bhavsar. This is a college, all-American level difficulty routine. Gearing up for his dismount here. What do we think? Double front or double pike? I'm going double pike.
I think we're going. I think we're going double front, Christian. He's kind of losing it at the very end, unfortunately, but it looks like he's got the double front.
Oh, you were right. Double front.
Oh! With a stuck landing. Region 4 is on fire, Christian.
I mean, momentum we talked about. Right. Hits breed hits, man.
And right now we're actually going to be seeing whether or not Region 3 was able to bounce back at all on these vaults. So far, so plain.
2 falls, which are lower difficulty than any of the vaults we saw from Region 4 so far, but they were done cleanly.
Unfortunately, a mistake there, a large mistake.
They can take a couple falls. Oh.
Well, there's 2 of them. Man, it's hard to build momentum on fall after falls.
It is. All right, there we go. That was good. Your chain double full is clean. Oh, the very nice 2.5.
Just kind of stepped out of bounds there. I know we're not looking at it down the line. Great 2.5 there. A lot of pop off the table.
No, he got good elevation there for sure. We talk about difference in equipment, and preferences for the athletes. I know a lot of athletes prefer the speed floor and the speed table. The speed table especially, it can be difficult to adjust to just because it's so nice.
And thank you so much for joining us for that amazing rotation. Let's continue the competition in just a couple of moments. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Showing beautiful control. She's clearly a crowd favorite.
The most reliable Wi-Fi at one price for 5 years. Guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the exceptional orthopedic care at Baptist Health, with a skilled team of dedicated specialists, along with advanced services and procedures, it's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
Come see gymnastics like never before at the 2026 American Cup, March 7th at Lee's Family Forum. Be there as Las Vegas hosts this international team showdown with the world's best men and women competing side by side in a high-stakes elimination format where only one nation remains. You've never seen gymnastics like this. Tickets on sale now. Visit AmericanCup.com for more information. Don't miss any of the excitement at the 2026 American Cup.
Christian, we are just about at the halfway point of Men's Gymnastics Elite Team Cup 2026. Let's check out the standings in the top 3. We've got Region 2 with a 222, Region 3 with a 224, and Region 4 coasting now to a lead that almost feels a little bit insurmountable, 9 points ahead of second place with a 233. You might have been right, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, a 9-point lead is huge, admittedly. But, I mean, we're halfway through the competition. There's a lot of gymnastics left to be done. And, I mean, Pommel horses, it's last, all right? It's coming up. Anything can happen, all right? One 3-fall routine, all right? You're not getting credit for your skills. You get short routine. That's a 5-point swing in itself, right?
There we go. And ladies and gentlemen, we are very lucky to have another extremely special guest joining us here in the booth, Jason Woodnik, the Vice President of the men's program. Jason, sitting next to you when you're not making big decisions about who's going to be on the team and whether or not I'm going to make it, feels a little bit easier.
Yeah. I mean, I love the ETC. You know, I'm so used to national team selection events and international selection. This is just a fun team event for the whole country, and I love watching what the future of our sport is going to look like.
And that's awesome. Jason, you have a very unique gymnastics experience, and I don't believe that it was in the US of A.
Well, my gymnastics experience was in the USA. So as a gymnast, I'm from Maryland. I competed all in Maryland. I went to college at James Madison University, competed there in Virginia. I did a grad program at Springfield College up in Massachusetts. I coached down in North Carolina. And then in 2010, I took a job up in Canada coaching, working with a bunch of national team guys up in Canada. I did that till about 2017, where I then took over essentially this same position, but for the Canadian Gymnastics Federation in 2017. And I did that all up until I came here and took over this position in January of 2020.
Gotta be nice to have the red, white, and blue as your colors, correct?
Yeah. I mean, look, I loved my time up in Canada. It's an amazing country. It's amazing people. But, sport-wise, USA to Canada, it is very different. So I am thrilled to be home in my home country, working for the USA, of course.
That's fantastic.
That being said, the coolest flag of all of the places mentioned is clearly the Maryland flag, in my entirely unbiased opinion.
Kind of feels like there's some brotherhood there that I'm not getting in on.
I mean, we both grew up in Maryland and went to college in Virginia. So.
Yep. So my every time I'm on a Zoom from my house, from my office, I have a big Maryland flag in my background. So everybody knows if you get on a Zoom with me, that Maryland flag is going to be in the background.
It's actually legally required to have a Maryland flag in your house somewhere if you're from Maryland.
Absolutely.
So Jason, we had a great opportunity to chat with Raj today just about his vision for these junior guys. Obviously, he's more in the weeds for every single guy. He's, heading the effort to make the scoring bonus table for difficulty. He's got this great vision where he sees the juniors really transforming the men's team and eventually turning into the senior men that will then go on to compete at Worlds and Olympic stage. From your perspective, and it may be a little bit less nuanced, and you're not necessarily as in the weeds as Raj is. Speak a little bit more, if you could, just about what you love seeing in this environment, this kind of competition.
I mean, like I said earlier, this is the future. These guys are going to be our next senior national team. They're going to be our next set of world championship team members, our next set of Olympians. They're here. We're watching them right now. And even outside of that, just watching the level of gymnastics, from ages 14 to 18, 19 that we have in this country, and seeing the depth and the talent and the skills being performed. I mean, it's just, we're all trying to elevate our program as much as we can, and this event really showcases where, our program is at, where it's going, and just makes me hopeful for the future.
One story that I have to bring up, I distinctly remember I was lucky enough to be a part of those developmental star programs as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, and I would go to those national team camps, and whether it's in Colorado or an off-site location, something else, and our national development staff would always say, there are Olympians sitting in this room. There are world champions in this room. And maybe I was crazy enough to really think that they were speaking to me, but I know firsthand experience that this is where it's really made. This is where it starts. Jason, thanks so much for that great comment. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, this is it, right? You know, you talked about future stars. That's really the level before this. And then you graduate to this and making your Elite Team Cup team. And some guys will do that multiple times. They'll make their Elite Team Cup team multiple times. And then you hit that senior level. So it really is kind of the pathway from, you know, getting into that mindset of being an elite gymnast and getting to that top level of gymnastics within our country. That's the pipeline.
So there's this expression, when it rains, it pours, right? When you get a little bit of something, it comes in fuller force, right? And so, I mean, within the past year, the U.S. men's program has had just tremendous success between both the junior and the senior athletes. So is there any of that attitude in these bigger rooms when you guys are discussing the future of the program or looking to ride on that momentum? And if so, like how?
Yeah, I mean, last year was a historic year. You know, you could go back to 2023 with World Championships in 2023. It kind of started there. And then our Olympics in 2024, and then building into last year in 2025. And we kind of put the gauntlet down to our athletes and said, look, we want you all doing the hardest gymnastics in the world and doing it the best in the world. And they stepped up and did it, you know, as where we went from kind of chasing other countries in difficulty and working our way up. Well, last year we set the bar in difficulty on several events in the world. And the guys were doing it at the best level in the world. So we have come quite a way, but the work is not done. And obviously, you know, we have lots to build upon. The goal for this year that we have put out there is we want to earn our spot to LA 2028 this year. You know, we have to be top 3 as a team at World Championships, which are in the Netherlands later this year. If we're top 3, we earn our team spot to LA 2028. And that is goal number 1. We want to get that done, make sure we have a team to LA. And so we're building off last year, but, you know, it's a new year. Last year is over, and we have new goals for this year.
It's important to share that short-term memory. You know, you can enjoy the success for that year. And usually, you know, the World Championships, they're later in the year, so you've got a couple of months to decompress. And this applies definitely more to those later senior athletes that we're going to be seeing on the stage here. But you've got a couple of months of just enjoyment, celebrate the success. I know the environment that we brought at 2023 Senior National Team Camp, it was ecstatic. Everybody was excited. Everybody wanted to celebrate the win. But we knew that we had a gauntlet ahead of us in the Olympics. So I can only imagine that, you know, after a World Championships like this past one, everybody's excited, but they know that they can do even better. Some guys tasted gold. Some guys were just on the edge of a podium finish and realized, man, if we're here now, where can we be in 3 more years in 2028? You know, Jason, funny enough, you told all the guys you wanted the hardest gymnastics with the cleanest execution, and that was the task that you set forth. That was actually the same time that I left the sport.
Funny, huh? Yeah. It worked, you know, it worked. I mean, we would have loved to have you around, right? Like, we loved having you on the team, but, you know, you moved on to bigger and better things after the Olympics, and I couldn't be, you know, more happy for you and more proud of you. So, you know, you went out on your terms. You know, the other guys who decided they wanted to stick around and wanted to come back, that was the challenge, right. and they met it, you know?
Right. No, I'm just giving you guys grief. There's been nothing but support. And Jason, I think maybe something that the viewers would love to understand is, you know, our neighbors to the north, Canada, what's the kind of difference like in support that us athletes have? I know, speaking from my personal experience, anything that we wanted, as long as our dreams were big enough, USA Gymnastics was supporting them. What's that kind of difference like? We've got funding, we've got national team apparel, we've got international experience opportunities, we've got big competitions like this on an elite stage, travel distance that's possible, we've got grants, we've got all these things at USA. How different is that at Canada, and what has it been like? And what's the environment like to set the gymnasts up to have that success here in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, they are very different. You know, obviously the biggest difference is financial support, right? I mean, the support that we get in the U.S. is tremendously better than what is, you know, provided in Canada, just from the sport side of things in Canada. You know, hockey is kind of king in Canada, and they get a lot of support. And then really, a lot of those kind of summer Olympic sports have to work within a tight budget, and we had to do that. We had to be very selective on the events that we attended. We kind of had to set standards as to if we're going to go to these events, we really need to have a good performance there. You really do take every single international event very seriously. But I was thrilled for them. They made it to team finals at the Olympics. Those guys I've worked with, my whole time up there when they were little guys, and now seeing them as senior national team and then Olympians, having the success that they had, as happy as I was for our team, obviously, Team USA, there was a piece of me that was thrilled for those guys because I know how much they've pushed and struggled and worked really hard. So, that was really happy for me. And I'll always be a part of me, in Canada, because I spent 10 years there and I had a great life there and worked with some amazing people. So, but I will say here, it is nice. It's never enough. It's never enough. You can always want more and need more. But it is very nice, what USAG has been able to put forth for the national team. We get to go to almost any event that we really want to internationally. We have training camps domestically. We do training camps internationally. So, I mean, it is really nice being able to work within, this budget.
Well, Jason, that we got to say the same thing that we said to Raj is we'd like to kick you off right about now. But if you want to stay, you're going to have to commentate a little bit with us on some of this gymnastics.
I got you.
I'm just kidding. We wouldn't want to kick you off. But let's get back to some of this incredible gymnastics. Jason, thank you so much for sharing all of that kind of insight. And now we move on to Pommel Horse, an event that's been tough today for a lot of athletes.
I don't know. Clearly the horse has not been in a good mood. She has not been cooperating well with the athletes. I've been keeping an eye on Region 4 on high bar, and actually, unfortunately, as I said that, commentator's curse, I apologize. Second athlete has come off the high bar for Region 4, right? So as we said, anything can happen.
Huge.
This is looking pretty good so far on Pommels here.
Huge opening move, full twist on one arm. Unfortunately, never got good enough to actually say or do the name of that skill, but Christian, you might be able to help me out there.
The sewn, I'm a big fan of the sewn. I was never able to put it in my routine, but I would whip it out just to remind people I could.
So that looked like a little cheeky little hop off that Pommel Horse. And we're not close enough so that the judges can hear us on Pommel Horse. Looked like he jumped off the horse a little bit.
There was a nodding. There's a nodding of understanding he did not receive credit for that. And I'm going to say this, and I believe this in my heart of hearts. I will argue with anyone to the ends of the earth. This is a hill I'm willing to build and die. I'm willing to die on this hill. A Pommel horse dismount is the most difficult skill in all of gymnastics. I sat in on a judging course once where I was told there's something like over 25 different tenths that can be taken on a Pommel horse dismount. It is so hard. It's like the only skill in gymnastics you're allowed where if you mess up bad enough, the judges are like, get up and do it again. It is true. It is unreal how difficult it is to keep the momentum going up to a perfect handstand and then pirouette at the end of a Pommel horse routine.
And you see a lot of those pros at Pommel horse. That's the skill that they struggle on the most. They can do the biggest possible routine, but they can't finish it usually.
It is so difficult to convert all of that horizontal momentum directly vertical, especially at the end of a skill. I mean, you're doing 20, 30 circles in your routine, and not only are you doing all these circles, right? You're doing these twists. You've got different pressure, different angles you're working with, right? That kind of add to the strenuous nature of your routine. And then you add on the 4 events you did before this, right? By the time you're at this point in this competition. And I mean, that dismount, it feels like you've got weights on your ankles. And so I was fortunate as a rings guy. I essentially just did a planche handstand faster than light on my horse dismount. But that is...
Well, don't let the judges hear that.
What are they going to do? Take it from me now? But
unfortunate finish there on the P-bars.
That was a nice looking routine too, up to the end there. That was a shame.
What's really interesting, and I can see a couple of the college coaches here in the crowd right now, what's really fun about this event is that in a couple of hours, Christian and I will be back on, refueled with even more energy for this next session with huge gymnastics in the seniors, with a lot on the line. We can't wait to get into that. But we've got college coaches watching their next generation of recruits. What's that like?
I bet it's really exciting for them to see like the sparks in these young athletes, because
just
awesome.
Like
that was gorgeous.
Sorry. Pause. Amazing.
Yeah, right. And so it's easy, air quotes, easy as anything is ever easy in the sport, to have all of these skills and then polish them once you get to college. But there is a certain level of pride I can imagine the coaches take in knowing that they fully taught a skill to an athlete.
Christian, I got to pause you right here.
Is that a swallow?
That might be the lowest plange I've seen in my life.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that was a hands-forward swallow, actually. I think that was too low to receive planche credit, but I do think that was in range for that. I keep saying swallow, then a floor Maltese, essentially, for those of you at home. I think that was in range of the height necessary for a floor Maltese, which he did well. That's very impressive to see from an athlete so young.
This is an excellent routine so far.
100%.
Hope he can bring it home. Yeah, that was great.
Fantastic routine from Cole Miller. Unfortunately, we saw him with that fall on high bar, but he comes back with that momentum. And look at that embrace from all his teammates. They know how important that routine was for him. That routine honestly reminded me about exactly what we were talking about in the beginning of the session, Christian. Gymnastics that looks good, looks easy, and is done well.
Oh, absolutely. There was great confidence throughout that set. Every skill he hit, he knew he was going to hit it. It was just a matter of how well was he going to do it. And he had the confidence that showed he was going to do it well.
Love that. Jason, what are some of the initiatives that we've got as a U.S. organization going into a home Olympics? It's one thing. Oh, excuse me, pause again. Amazing Kovacs, followed up with a pike to Tkachev, just fingertipping it.
I'm liking that those have made a comeback, the pike to Tkachev.
Sure.
I think it was fair in proportion to how stringent they were becoming with the late Tkachevs.
Yeah.
I know that was a huge problem in the 2024 Paris Olympics, who was going to get credit, especially on the U.S. team, for that stretch to Tkachev.
Sure.
And having this alternative where you can just take the 10th and instead do a pike to Tkachev, I think brings more variety, but also it's just a smart and safe option. Unfortunate finish. He was doing those very well in warm-up, so I know he'll be frustrated.
Unfortunate finish there with a fantastic routine. Well, as we're slowly wrapping up this last rotation.
Jackson Wilson here, 2.5 that he lands. Deep landing, but hey, strong legs, he keeps that on his feet.
I want to get back to that question about that home Olympics, Jason. From the men's program, what are some of just the things that we're going to be trying to do over these next couple of years? It comes quick. It's already 2026 Winter Cup. Just last week was the Olympic Games in Paris. What's it going to be like? What's the motivation like? What are the vibes like in the U.S. side going into an LA home Olympic Games?
Yeah, I mean, we want to win. We want to win the gold medal as a team at our home Olympics. And I've said, I do believe, for our athletes, for all Team USA athletes, but, I'm worried about our athletes most, I believe the opportunities that could come with winning a gold medal, at a home Olympics, as far as, sponsorships and partnerships and opportunities to promote yourself and your brand are going to be unlike anything we've ever seen before, just because of what the U.S. does. I said this at our December camp and to our whole national team. I said, what you all have the opportunity to do here maybe is something that we won't see again. So it's out there. They get it. They understand it. And so we are going to keep pushing. We are going to keep pushing difficulty because we need to stay up there with China and Japan.
Sure.
And who knows if Russia will be back. And Great Britain is great. There's so many teams out there, so many athletes that are just phenomenal. So we can't take our foot off the gas. We like I said, we want to go to World Championships this year. We want to lock in our spot. And then if we can do that, then really for the next 2 years, it's just push, and give ourselves the best absolute opportunity to win that gold medal as a team.
And that's a little bit of a different environment. We haven't really ever had that opportunity to qualify to the Olympic Games 2 years
early.
Yeah. Then you've got all of 2027 to kind of have as a chalkboard of what do you want to do.
It's exactly right. We have not been in that position. We have always had to earn our spot at the the last World Championships, where it's all on the line.
Sure.
So that's our goal. We want to put ourselves in a position to say, okay, 2027 Worlds is still very important, and we still want to do very well, but some pressure's off. And, maybe there is an opportunity to play with some different lineups or, play with some more individual opportunities there. 2027 Worlds is supposed to also have a mixed team event, which we will see in LA. So there's that factor now. So, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to have the opportunity to give ourselves some options in 27. And then, but again, it's still foot on the gas for 2028 because I really believe this could be a life-changing event, 2028 at home, a life-changing event for our athletes, for Team USA athletes.
Wow. Motivating.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so the routine we got to watch on High Rod right before that athlete who went on the floor was Joven Jimeno. And I would like to highlight him because, in my research before Elite Team Cup, I, perused Instagram as you do. And he was an athlete who stuck out to me as just having, that spark of greatness. I really like the way he does gymnastics. And you saw it right there on High Bar. It's good difficulty. I think it's excellent skill choice for him. And as we've seen him compete, the more and more I grow confident in that opinion. And it honestly is the best part of this competition as far as I'm concerned. It's just seeing the athletes as they are now, seeing how good they are now, how well they do now, and then knowing that almost like a time capsule. Is that all you can? Oh my goodness gracious.
I wanted to stay quiet, Christian, because I knew there was gymnastics coming.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Call me crazy, but I feel like this is like a young Brody. It's kind of got that same, maybe it's the tape all the way up to the forearms, maybe it's the Lucan, maybe it's the excellence on high bar. I'm seeing huge gymnastics right now from Region 4. Christian. Oh!
Jackson Korecki, you madman. Those releases were gorgeous, and unfortunately, it's the in bars that got him.
Well, you talk about Brody, they're from the same gym. So Brody has worked with him on high bar, I'm sure, on all those release moves.
Well, whatever back routine that Brody was doing, I think he gave it to Jason, too. They look identical from the back, that massive build. Jason, what can some of these guys, especially some of these older guys that are pushing 16, 17, and 18 years old at this competition, what can they look at the road to 2028? Is it a possibility for some of them to be in the mix at that age?
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, it's tough. It's going to be hard. We have a pretty solid group of the older guys. And when I say older, I'm talking early 20s. That is not old, but, older, a little more developed, a little more experienced, a little more polished. And I think that's the biggest difference, right? You're going to have, these guys are going to have to compete against guys who have been around, who have been out internationally, who have been on, various international teams, and they've got, more of that experience.
Sure.
Is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. But, I think we're pretty deep at the senior level at the moment. But again, we still have 2 more years, to pick an Olympic team. So a lot can happen in those 2 years,
Sure. Well, hey, Jason, Mr. Woodnik, thank you so much for joining the stream. We appreciated your insights. We look forward to watching USA tackle on those monstrous goals and to having an Olympics in America. I mean, that's once in a lifetime type of thing.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing experience for everybody there. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for that stellar rotation. Let's see if in the next 2 rotations, Region 4 can seal the deal.
See gymnastics' biggest stars at the 2026 Xfinity U.S. Gymnastics Championships at the Mortgage Matchup Center in Phoenix. Cheer on Olympic medalists and the next generation of USA gymnastics stars as they rise to the challenge and vie for national titles. Tickets on sale now. Visit XfinityChampionships.com for more information. Don't miss any of the action at the 2026 Xfinity U.S. Gymnastics Championships.
Earth, from the horizontal comforts of your couch, is merely dirt and sticks and moss and bugs and stuff. But when you're double backflipping off a backcountry cliff or hallucinating on 1 million micrograms of exhaustion, you might just see Earth as a world of endless attractions. Welcome to the...
Hello? Excuse me, I was still talking.
Anyway, Welcome to the world of...
All conditions, gear!
Sonia and Gerald trust Prevagen for their brains, and this is their story.
I'm Sonia.
And I'm Gerald, and we live in Jacksonville, Florida.
We are both military veterans, and we provide dental care for underserved communities. We have a very busy life.
We take Prevagen for our brains.
I would honestly say I like the way that Prevagen makes me feel. At the end of the day, I feel confident and amazing.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
Extraordinary to me is
hard work,
leaving a positive impact, being the best version of myself,
being fearless,
faith, confidence,
accountability,
believing,
having the courage to follow your dreams,
perseverance, walking in with confidence,
determined,
authenticity,
resilience, making a difference.
To succeed in gymnastics, it takes strength, determination, dedication, and it takes you. The USA Gymnastics Foundation raises funds to empower athletes at all levels and disciplines of our sport and to enrich communities for all-around success. Give to the USA Gymnastics Foundation today, because their success starts with you.
And welcome back to Rotation 5. Christian, what a pleasure it's been so far in this amazing competition, but I'm going to be honest, and maybe I'll give them some commentating, jinx, but Region 3 has shrunk that lead to only 5 points for Region 4, but I still think that Region 4 is going to be able to pull this one out. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a routine by routine, 10th by 10th to the last minute here, because as we mentioned, not only does, Region 4 have to end on Pommel horse, but they're going to 4 right now. Another one of those events that is generally higher scoring. And that being said, the Region 4 looks pretty strong on 4. I think this is an event where they can absolutely capitalize on their talents and their strength because they've been playing really well into each other as teammates so far.
Sure. In the warm-up, I was able to watch a ton of double-doubles from Region 4 on floor, like back to back to back to back. And for a double-double, fans, that is called a 2 flips, 2 twists flip in the air. So really excited to see Region 4 kind of close it out. Just as important as it is to kind of take the lead early in a meet, it's just as important to win it. The meet isn't decided in rotation 1 or 5.
Oh, no.
It's decided in rotation 6. So really looking forward to this. Zach Myers, that great P-bar routine that we saw with that massive difficulty early in the day. Let's see how he starts off on floor.
Job's not finished.
Light on his feet, man. I love seeing that kind of gymnastics. Just effortless run. They've got that quick twitch. You can always tell which juniors have been not cheating on their strength.
To get technical for a second, I think a lot of people tend to overrun double front on floor. I think a double front on floor is exactly 2 things. I think it is your chest up, chin up on takeoff, and I think it is remembering to kick down and not out. So many people want to try and catch a double front by kicking their feet out, letting go early like you would on a back, backward facing skill.
Sure.
And that is just not how you can treat a double front. Double front is chest down, it's like chest over, feet down if you want to land it well.
Sure.
And so being able to remember that, I think, is imperative, more so than, needing to run really hard.
I really like athletes that may not have the highest difficulty on floor, but they make up for it with their execution. And on top of that, they make up for it on their execution, on their non-acrobatic skills. We saw Zach there, and we'll get a chance to watch him on Pommel horse too with those flare elements, which I'm so privy to because, I loved my flares. He gets to add them into his floor set. Okay, speaking of athletes that are going to go big, we've got Tyler on vault right now.
Tyler Malecki getting ready to vault for us. We got some questions in the chat as well from Coaster_Cow. Paul, what's your favorite color?
Christian, it's so funny. I think my favorite color is probably blue. He's got that big power there for Kyle. I'm really looking forward to see how he develops as an athlete in years to come.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite color is blue. Christian, what's your favorite color?
Purple. I'm a big purple guy, like a deep purple. I'm a fan.
Sure. Hey, listen, fans. I mean, I'm never going to be upset about telling you guys that my favorite color is blue. But any sort of questions, I know Christian's going to get to a couple of the other ones that are, much more technical and story worthy. We're here to have the best possible time and bring the audience what they want. So, if you guys have any kind of questions about fun stories or experiences that we've shared as athletes, we'd love to continue to tell you guys them.
Yeah, and this next question is actually one of my favorites. What is your favorite event, and is it different from your best performing event? Because I do think that my best performing event and my favorite event to compete are 2 wildly different things for different reasons. I would say that I did a triple back on rings as my dismount, right? And so just as a skill, it was kind of scary and inconsistent. That being said, I don't know that I ever felt more like a skilled gymnast than when I was on the rings.
Sure.
Because I knew when I got into my Maltese, my planche afterwards, I was doing difficult gymnastics and I was doing it well, and that I was able to show all of that hard work that I put in, that my coaches put in, my teammates, helped me work towards in that moment, and just represent myself and the team very well. I love for that.
Yeah, that's a great perspective to share about that kind of entitlement feeling that people have after working so hard for their routines. There's a reason we talked about why those celebrations are so violent and just so excited. It's because we work our tails off in this sport. Especially maybe, I really like how you said it too, as skilled gymnasts. It's maybe you weren't blessed with having all of the technique when you were young. Maybe you weren't blessed and have the perfect body for gymnastics and lucky to have just the kind of natural ability that some of these athletes do. But when you work your tail off, you can get to that same level. especially with the no cowback triple back, no cowboy, excuse me, triple back on rings. Yeah, not too many athletes can say that they did that, Christian.
Yeah, and so I appreciated that for rings for that reason. But because my dismount was inconsistent, it was not my favorite. I actually had intense anxiety competing rings.
I'm sure.
Just because of that one skill. But probably my best overall was probably pommel horse. Obviously,
sure.
I am a more muscular athlete, so I did not have the easiest time reaching behind my back and extending. That being said, I knew my job was to hit a consistent set for my team, and I think I missed like 4 routines total in all of college.
So awesome.
And so knowing that like my job was to go be the anchor, and all of my teammates knew, my coaches knew and trusted me to like hold that position, I took a lot of pride in that because I'm not going to beat a Steven on horse. I never.
Yeah.
That being said, I can raise my hand and hit a routine to make sure that everything's looking good going to rings, and I appreciate that as much as horse is kind of awful to compete.
Man, that's insightful stuff, and athletes, young athletes, and anybody that's listening, believe me, nobody loves the mushroom when they're young. Nobody wakes up thinking, I love doing circles. I love doing 250 circles. I had teammates who could do 250 circles, but nobody picked mushroom as the event that they loved to do. I think for me personally, I really enjoyed competing high bar. I enjoyed competing high bar, and I enjoyed competing horse for one reason. And it wasn't that I enjoyed the prospect of competing horse. I enjoyed, I guess, hitting a routine on a horse. Because that feeling of those high-risk moments, we talk about millimeters of error on high bar and pommel horse. When you make those kind of routines, and they're really difficult for you, and you're able to capitalize and hit that set for your team or for yourself, there's nothing better than that feeling on high bar or on horse. Unfortunately, Christian, we're going to interrupt this storytelling. We just watched an athlete on floor from Region 4, a little bit of a large mistake on multiple passes.
Yeah, no, he struggled there, including it looked like out of one of his non-acro elements. But that being said, I mean, it's 6 routines?
8 up, 6 count.
Yeah, so they've got a margin for error there, and hopefully that's it for them.
I swear, Christian, if my first full competition of commentating, I'd give that big of a commentating curse.
Oh yeah, 9-point worth.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, and so for those of you at home, as we're watching some of these vaults, right, these athletes go up, they get plenty of power, rotation, and then you see them land under. That is something I have actually referred to as the Icarus effect, and that you fly just a little bit too close to the sun, because you do have that power, the speed, the rotation, and when you open thinking that you're going to stick it, and the ground comes at you just that much faster than you expected. It's really tough to catch. And so that is super common in young athletes, especially because as they're adjusting to the equipment and whatnot, it can just, it's something that comes with experience, knowing that, not to really count that bird in the bush, so to speak.
Flipping to a little bit of a kind of different question, though, I see in the chat. Thanks so much, chat, for commentating and being a part of this great stream. We appreciate all 700, 800 of you guys. We really can't wait to see what kind of turnout we get for both the senior men tonight, which is going to be an elite competition. Grab your popcorn, grab your friends. I mean, that's going to be a great meet to watch. And also, obviously, the women tomorrow. We're very excited to be having this on YouTube and an accessible competition to everybody involved. Not only that, though, Christian, we've got a question here that talks about mental blocks in gymnastics, those kind of things that feel as though you can't get over them. Physically, we know we're able to get to that skill, we're able to do that routine, we're able to, come up to that moment and perform. But mental blocks, they feel insurmountable. And then I follow that up with a comment from one of our users here that says, I'm so impressed with how positive and encouraging the coaches are. We need this in all sports. And I would like to argue that the coaches are a massive part of getting through those mental blocks. The best kind of coaches are the ones that are seasoned. They've been in this environment before. They've seen athletes deal with mental blocks. And not every athlete's the same. Not every mental block's going to be the same. Some athletes are unbelievably gifted and talented and the best in the world. Simone Biles, who went through the twisties. And other athletes, they're going through the mental block for their very first time in their career. A seasoned coach knows how to guide an athlete through that tough experience, because it's one that can sometimes even make you fall out of love with the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever dealt with any kind of mental blocks?
I did when I was younger. I was a pretty scared athlete when I was younger, and for me, the shift was really, it was just a lot of self-talk, especially once I saw what other athletes were doing across the country. I'm not positive it was the most healthy or productive mindset. But I essentially told myself that none of the gymnastics I was doing was hard enough to be that scared. And so that helps me.
Come on, Christian.
Well, that helped me once I got to college. And then I mentioned I did a triple on rings. And so that's one of those skills that doesn't really get less scary, no matter how many times you do it on a competition setting. And so from there, it became a combination of two things. It was, I don't have to beat the fear. I just have to do it scared.
Sure.
And that's okay.
You know, there's that quote, right, that in the face of fear, those that continue going, that's what people think is like courage. Courage is doing it in the face of fear.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of scary gymnastics, Christian, I know exactly what you're talking about. I competed a Yurchenko double pike on vault, which is a round off onto the board, a back handspring onto the table, and then 2 double backflips in the air afterwards with straight legs.
Really cool, horrifying.
Yeah.
That's a commitment vault. For those of you wondering why that seems so scary, is because when you, like, if you were to bail on a forward flipping skill, you can kind of clear your head and land on your back, you know what I mean, and do 1.5 flips. That is not an option with a backward flipping vault. That is one of those things where once you hit the table, it is a full commitment. And it's the same reason why I thought triple was so scary, you know, especially at the end of a set.
That's like a full commitment skill.
Yeah, once you're bailing for a triple, you are in that skill for good or for bad. And so so I mentioned there were 2 things I thought about. If you can't beat the fear, just do it scared.
Right.
You know, that one quote. And the other was that I was doing this skill for a reason. I didn't wake up one day and, you know, or I didn't wake up the day of competition to decide I'm just going to yuck a triple today. That's not what happened. What happened is that I picked a skill. I trained the skill every single day for months, years, right? And I built up this foundation knowing that I had the technique and I had the ability to do this skill, and it's in my set for a reason, right? I am uniquely qualified to do this. So yes, it's scary, but of all of the people on the competition field right now, I'm the one doing it because I put in the time, I put in the effort, and I have the ability, right? And so building that confidence and then telling myself I don't have to be completely unafraid right now, I think is what got me through it. And so I never balked on a triple in competition, and I applied those same thoughts to other skills when I got scared of them. I don't have to be scared. I don't have to stop being scared. I just have to do it anyways, and I know I can do it anyways because I am uniquely qualified to do this because I put in the time and effort.
I'm giving you a big dap up off screen right there, Christian. I don't know if you could have said a more important message to these young athletes. Gymnastics is not a one-day type of sport. You don't get to just start doing big gymnastics. You don't get to just go from being a level 7 or a level 8 doing compulsory routines to watching Brody Malone on high bar and going, I'm doing that the very next day. What we get to see as fans on TV or on YouTube or at these large competitions is the end product of so many years of hard work. So many years. And so, you know, Christian, I love the ego that builds, the positive ego that builds, saying, I worked my tail off, and there is absolutely no reason that I shouldn't be confident on this skill. Wow, beautifully said. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. It took a minute to get there, trust me. I was not always 100% confident going into it, but one thing I had to tell myself was that I was going to be safe, because if I didn't think I could do this safely, I shouldn't be doing it.
Absolutely. I think funny how you say that you were a scared gymnast as you were younger. I was definitely a scared gymnast as I was older. There were competitions that I went to on high bar where I actually used a sliding mat on some of my releases, but for those fans at home, they don't actually provide those at the meet, so I would come over and I would take the vault hand mat they use for the Yurchenko and ask my coach to get up on high bar and slide for me. And guess what? I probably got looks at me. I probably got people that were judging me, but at the end of the day, I felt safe. And I was really happy that my coaches allowed me that comfortability to do what I needed to get comfortable and feel safe when I competed. Last thing you want to do is go for a skill that you're not comfortable with.
I agree wholeheartedly. And this is another mental shift that I had to do. Is, everyone has their quirks, right?
Sure.
And you, as long as they work for you, I think that's okay, right? As long as we're seeing results and this is productive and not too disruptive.
Sure.
That being said, you can be as quirky as you want. If you're doing good gymnastics, people can judge you from the bottom of the podium.
Boom. Another dap up right there. Oh my gosh, Christian with the hammer today.
And that's just how I think about it. It was same thing. You'd be like, oh, that guy's, that guy's a little weird. He's doing X, Y, or Z. Like, yeah, that guy's also beating you. So,
sure.
if it's what gets him through it, then all the power to him.
Sure.
And so, you would be one of those athletes, Mr. NCAA champion, right?
I was definitely one of those guys that people would look at, say, what is he doing? And it works out.
It didn't matter. They can judge you from off the podium.
Oh, man. I don't think I can ever use that one, but I will let people know that Christian said that because I'm not that kind of guy. All right, Christian, let's get back into some of this gymnastics. Region 4 now on floor. How will they respond to a couple of those falls on floor?
Well, I mean, now we're in danger zone, right? Because we've seen at least 2 athletes fall. So if they have any more falls from here on out, it is going to count for the team score. And their lead has already been chipped away at.
Sure.
And they're just not in a position where they can afford to. Pommel horse, on top of being a hard event, is also a lower scoring event. And so this is where they need to expand their lead by any means necessary because they're going to need it to survive the next one.
Sure. Florida Pommel horse, 3.5 at the tail end of this set.
Fascinating technique. Did you see how short his round-off was?
I did.
Yeah. Typically, when you see someone cranking up that many twists, they do a super long and wide round-off, right? Get them a deep punch so they can set up into that wrap very well.
You know what I really love about watching these young guys is they find out technique for themselves that works. The way that I used to learn, and it's definitely still applicable to everybody, is you can go on YouTube and just watch the best in the world.
Oh, yeah.
But when you don't have the facilities, let's say, of the best possible floor, or the speed floor in your gym, or a speed table in your gym, you got to make ends meet. And that's maybe where some of that quirky stuff comes out. But I just love watching these young athletes figure out gymnastics that works for them. Great vaults from Region 6. It's just great to see so many gymnasts from so many different levels. And now we're finishing up on high bar again. I want to say with Ryan Mills, their anchor, their steadfast anchor. We're just loving these chat comments. We really appreciate you so much for, Mom said that she's loving the commentary. We really appreciate that. It makes us feel like we're doing the sport and the meet justice.
Absolutely. I'm also a big fan of the comment, thoughts on how Fig did Gadsden's dirty, which is a very niche question, and I love the gym nerd who brought that up. Gadsden is a support skill on parallel bars.
Which we were talking about is one of those harder support skills.
Absolutely. It's like a hop half, and then you finish the rest of the skill by spinning on one arm. It's very difficult. But the change they are referring to is that you have to show, 3/4 of the turn on the hop before you turn back into the middle. And that is not even how Gadsden himself did it. It is extraordinarily difficult judging criteria that does not even apply to how the skill was created. And so often if you see an athlete do a Gadsden, they're going to be incurring that new deduction that I clearly am not the biggest fan of myself.
Sure.
So that's my thought on that, as I agree with you that the skill is done dirty. It's not like it was being abused anyways. I saw him warm that up yesterday. Yeah, for those of you.
Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen, I just had about a heart attack watching. Holy smokes! I thought Fig took those away for the juniors.
I think they did for a while. That double front back to the middle of the rails is a very unique skill. I don't believe we will see another one of those in the country, even in the senior sessions throughout the year. So very unique and very difficult skill. And the reason it's so spooky is because typically when you see an athlete do a double front, they're doing it to leave the rails, let alone re-grasp them. And so that was a really cool skill to see. I see the coach who dapped him up. And I know another athlete from that same gym who's done that skill before. So that would make a lot of sense.
Christian, on that comment about how the Fig did them dirty, I always like when one of my coaches from home at Michigan would say, "Hey FIG," or "Hey World Gymnastics, show me how you would do that skill."
I'm saying, and sometimes these changes come, and I just don't understand where, because sometimes it makes sense as the skill evolves. It should update, right? The first Makoots did not have this guy who, it was pause on one rail and then continue. Now they really want to see that swing through because the skill has been innovated. Lucas Dowser, for example, phenomenal people worker, no pause on the Makoots. So that's a change that makes sense to me. something we saw recently, the Gadsden, right? They increased the value of the Gadsden, and then they created criteria that's going to make it so even if you try it and do it successfully, you're probably going to lose more than the upgrade was worth.
Right.
Or or Asher Hong with the Riseg Wong, and so similar stuff like that.
Yeah, Christian, I completely agree with you. Sometimes my favorite thing to say is just let the gymnast do gymnastics. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an exciting 5 events. So far, we're going into rotation 6. This is where the meat comes down to the finish. Will Region 4 be able to close it out?
Showing beautiful control.
She's clearly a crowd favorite. The most reliable Wi-Fi at one price for 5 years. Guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the exceptional orthopedic care at Baptist Health, with a skilled team of dedicated specialists, along with advanced services and procedures, it's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
Come see gymnastics like never before at the 2026 American Cup, March 7th at Lee's Family Forum. Be there as Las Vegas hosts this international team showdown with the world's best men and women competing side by side in a high-stakes elimination format where only one nation remains. You've never seen gymnastics like this. Tickets on sale now. Visit AmericanCup.com for more information. Don't miss any of the excitement at the 2026 American Cup.
Christian Marsh, Rotation 6, 2026 Elite Team Cup, Louisville, Kentucky. What we got?
We got a close meet once again. I mean, the leaders are ending on Pommel horse where anything can happen, and everyone else seems to be right on their tail.
Sorry, audibly.
Yeah, no, the scores popped up, and I have to immediately correct myself. 7 points is a massive lead. And then it groups very, very closely.
Christian, that's 13 points.
Oh my gosh. I went to law school last time I took a math class I was 19. Forgive me.
We have got Region 4 in the driver's seat. You know, okay, I'll say it. 13 points. Catastrophe would have to happen.
Yeah, I mean, with 8 up, 6 count, that would have to be like
5 up.
5 athletes fall 3 times.
Well, we're not out of the neck of the woods yet, but I will say that it's been a fantastic competition thus far. Really excited to see how Rotation 6 goes for these the Region 4 athletes, and to see if there still seems to be, though, a good race for second and third. There's a potential for Region 2 to hop in there, but a 13-point lead for Region 4. Christian, it sounds like you kind of knew the future when you predicted it earlier today.
Hey, man, what can I say? I know ball. They picked me for a reason.
Love it. All right, here we go. Shane Cumbermack. Here we go.
He's another athlete. I really like his gymnastics. He's done well all day, and I very much enjoyed getting to know him and his gymnastics a little bit today. So in that leadoff spot on Pommel horse, so once again, his job's going to be mostly to hit. Yeah, very basic routine, but guess what? He stayed on.
You know what the coach probably said? He said, hey, take out that risky skill.
Oh, for sure. I can 100% see that.
You know, though, I will always appreciate the gymnasts that were able to get to the end of the competition, know that all they had to do was hit, and they go for it all. One of those athletes that I grew up watching and idolized for so many years of my career is Kohei Uchimura. Mm-hmm. And I would always love, Kohei's got like a 10-point lead going into that last event, and everybody in the commentating booth says, do you think he's pulling anything out at all? And they said, no, he might add something.
Yeah, right.
You know, what are we kidding? And he would always nail the landing, and just, it's so great to watch all these athletes come down to it. But man, I mean, it's been a joy so far.
Yeah, I always appreciate athletes who can kind of change their routines on the fly.
Yeah.
For me, it's, as part of not developing mental blocks, whatever I decided I was going to do before the day started is what I'm going to do.
Sure.
For better or worse, we're getting through it, and I'm going to figure it out. And so, these dynamic do this, don't do that was not always my favorite. So having the mental flexibility is it's an element that you see in some of these more advanced athletes, and to have that ability so young is impressive. It's a good quality to have.
We would always call that in my gym and in the gymnastics community, gymnastics IQ. You know, unfortunately, as we talked about with Raj, everybody's got a plan until you grab the pommels and you mess up your very first skill. Now what? And we would always really appreciate, and this comes into, and this is maybe a little bit too gymnastics-y for a lot of newer fans, but it's when skills don't get credit, but it still doesn't look necessarily that the athlete fell off the event, but that skill that they were doing, they might not get credit for in the eyes of the rules of gymnastics. And what do you do then? We talk about elements groups, and we can go into the extreme details of gymnastics about how the routine start value is comprised of different element groups and different skills within that element group. But what does a gymnast do when an element that they were supposed to be counting on doesn't get counted? And that's gymnastics IQ.
Yeah, right. And so really your options are to move on like it didn't happen, repeat it, or replace it.
See, I was just prayed that the that the judge blinked during that mistake.
Right. No shot. I would, if it was big enough, for example, that first skill in pommels, I did a scissor handstand, right?
Sure.
So that was my main skill that I did for that element group. And so were I to miss a scissor handstand, I did a scissor full afterwards.
Yep.
Right. So to ensure credit, sometimes I did 2 scissor handstands to mounts actually, right? So if one went wonky, maybe I got the other one. To replace is also tricky, just because you don't know how it's going to affect your routine, right? You get so pigeonholed isn't the right word, at least the context is, or the connotation's wrong. But you get so highly specialized in your routines that you know exactly what everything's going to feel like in relation to all of the other skills in your routine. So when you get to changing things around, it just changes with your state of mind and also just your physical tiredness and how it's going to respond to this routine. If I know at this point, the bar is going to feel like this, and so I need to do this, and all of a sudden, I changed skills, and now the bar's bouncing a little different, or, you know, my heart's beating a little faster than usual. That's something that affects you. Like, okay, why am I so tired going into this, and now how do I react to that? Sure. Am I supposed to set harder? Do I flip harder? Do I open early? What do you do?
And I think the other issue there is, I mean, listen, as many skills as there are in gymnastics, a lot of us athletes are competing the skills that we've got.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's not like necessarily, and maybe I speak, you know, colloquially about this, and maybe it's different for other gymnasts. I competed at kind of my max level for a lot of my skills. There weren't just other skills that I had in my back pocket that I could compete, but it was always really cool to see those stories of athletes switching on the fly, doing a brand new routine, and coming down to sit down, and you could tell everybody's looking at each other with wide eyes going, how did you do that?
Yeah, I have never done that before. I had a teammate who absolutely kind of competed randomized routines. He would get up there and the coaches wouldn't even know what he was about to do on occasion. But
how do you mentally prepare for that?
You don't. You don't prepare for Andrew Lubofsky.
Love the shout out. Love the shout out.
All right, we're working on pommel horse here, Region 4, looking to keep that commanding lead. Single pommel work with good extension here. Oh, I liked how patient he was on that, right? You want to keep those hands nice and slow and keep that circle long and extended on the single handle work, and he did that very well.
You know what would just be awesome here, going into the lead with a 13-point lead
dismounts
for Region 4 to just come out and go 8 for 8.
Oh,
you know, there's nothing like ending on an event like Pommel Horse as a team and going home with a bunch of hits. Everybody feels good on the bus ride home. That dinner's going to taste a lot sweeter. It's awesome to watch.
And in just a pure athletic sense, it's just such a power play to end on what is arguably the most difficult event to compete with a huge lead and then go 8 for 8. Like, you didn't need to do that, but we're swinging for the fences because it's not about winning, it's about making a statement. We are the best region by far, and everyone here needs to know that today.
I'd like to put your attention onto Bo on high bar here. Bo is from Region 5, and I have very, very high expectations for Bo. I got to see Bo at a JO competition earlier in the year. I believe that Bo is going to be one of those athletes that everybody's going to know about in a few years. So one of those athletes that's going to step onto the senior national stage for sure. He's got a couple of years of maturing. Obviously, you're not perfect as a junior, but this is the kind of athlete with talent and natural ability. His coach actually told me, he's from Chicago, he's a Chicago native like myself, that he learned a Coleman by coming into the gym and just trying it. Woo!
Crazy story, by the way. That was a gorgeous eyebrow routine as well. I really liked his cross to nitpick something like there. He actually caught that cross pretty close to handstand, and that is very difficult to do. And that's not to mention the in-bar work he did with the pike stalder followed by the straddle stalder, connected as well. I mean, we've seen the in-bar elements give so many athletes trouble today, and he flowed through that masterfully. And then he swung for his dismount and just stuck it. You know,
ice cold.
He fell from the heavens and planted firm. It was fantastic.
Really excited to watch a lot of these athletes develop over the next few years, and anybody that we kind of see stand out today. Of course, you know, as Raj said, we have future Olympians in this room today. You know, we have future world champions in this room. How are they going to develop over the next few years? I mean, that's the exciting part. You know, we're kind of on the precipice of the next generation of USA athletes. I love it.
Yeah, and it happened off screen for us, but I did peek over at Pommel Horse, and Mr. Joven Jimeno did fall twice on Pommel Horse, it looks like.
So a small little falter there, but listen, Christian, a 13-point swing. Man, that would be nice to be going into an event final with 13-point lead.
Oh, I'm saying, but I've seen athletes score 4 on horse before, all right? Anything can happen.
You know, one of the...
Oh, that was awesome.
What was that, Christian?
Giant half to upper arm. That is an extraordinary... I've never seen that skill competed before. I love a unique skill, man.
You know, one of those awesome pieces... You know, you got to appreciate some of these guys, you know, doing it for the love of the game.
Oh, that was so fun.
For the love of the game.
Admittedly, I had a bit of a unique skill choice in gymnastics, and so
I would say that a lot of guys from William and Mary did.
You know, you gotta pick what you gotta pick, man.
Sure.
Sure. You know, some skills come easy, some don't.
Sure.
Right? And, you know, if you got to find something else to replace that, then it's what you got to do. But other than that, I think we also just like to have fun with our gymnastics. So a lot of us will just kind of pick a skill, and, you know, as long as it doesn't disrupt the flow of the routine and, you know, isn't being deducted crazy, then, you know, the coaches will let us work on it. They are very willing to let you showcase your personality through your gymnastics.
You know what?
That was a huge selling point for me, just, because I was not the most technically ordinary athlete out there.
Sure.
And knowing that they would be willing to accommodate me as I picked some of my quirkier gymnastic skills was something I really appreciated. And then it had tremendous payoff in that doing some of these, you know, non-traditional skills were what helped me be so successful in college.
You know, I have to say, one of my favorite things about the collegiate men's gymnastics program is maybe some of those secondary schools, maybe not your traditional Big Ten or blue blood programs. Watching the gymnastics that those guys are doing is impactful for me for two reasons. First, almost more than likely, those athletes aren't getting a scholarship to do gymnastics at that school. They are doing it purely for the love of the game. And that, as an athlete who had the opportunity to have a scholarship to the program at the University of Michigan, have a lot of those resources that a lot of those maybe secondary schools didn't have, that would motivate me to make the most of what I've got going on at my school. Watching athletes do it for the love of the game kind of instills in you that love of the game. Great full twisting front flip, punch to a double front. Man, I'm starting to lose the vernacular not being in it every single day. I know what the skills are. I know what's coming, but it truly is a different language that gymnastics is.
Oh, that's
front
a tricky
double
stick.
full stuck down the side. Now you don't got to be a gymnastics fanatic to know that was difficult.
Yeah, I am always impressed when people do just those double full side passes. That to me feels like one of those skills that you're more meant to punch out. Like a layout, like a front layout on floor, I feel like is infinitely easier to stick when you're connecting it.
Agreed.
And so double full is like one of those skills where it's like you either got to be connecting into it or out of it if you want to stick it. And so I'm always a little more impressed when someone does it just by itself, like a static double full, and they find the landing. Double full stick. He's a good twister.
Great finish for a Region 3 athlete there on floor.
Uprise cross.
This is actually the same Cole Miller that we saw on floor that put together that incredible set.
It was real nice. Swinging through here. Oh, got to get that L up a little bit. I was so notorious for that. I would do a perfectly flat Maltese and then hit a straddle L to breathe, and my straddle L would be like a tenth too low. So it's the silly stuff that sneaks up on you.
Well, Christian, that's kind of what I was going to get into this next question to you. Is like, for maybe some advice as guys who have gone through the NCAA program, who have made it onto an NCAA team, at least, and please jump in after me, but the piece of advice that I'd give these guys is like, work on that annoyingly small stuff. Work on those small details. We joked about that press handstand being notoriously hard, but that's like 6/7 tenths. Oh, excuse me, 6/7. Oh God, there had to be some betting lines to see if we'd say 6/7, but that had to be like 6 or 7 tenths off just on that simple move that can be alleviated in a summer of work. Mm-hmm. And so I think like my piece of advice to a lot of these athletes, if you want to make it to the college stage, if you want to make it to that senior national team stage, you have to have all those T's and I's dotted and crossed while you're a young junior athlete. Because getting to the elite stage and then having those big skills means nothing if you're taking deductions on every single one of them. It might be the biggest and most difficult routine in the entire country, but if you're getting a 7.0 E-score, you're just not going to be competitive. And so for a lot of these guys at college and making it to college, you don't have to be the very best, highest difficulty routines. You have to be the guy, kind of like you, Christian, that the coach knew what he was going to get when he saluted. Unfortunately saw there a fall from Zach Myers, who I know is going to have a fantastic collegiate season and career. Really nice circling, really nice flare work. Flies that dismount up. I always really appreciated gymnastics that look like that.
Another piece of advice that I like to give people, especially when they're working on strength on rings, is you have to do it bad before you do it well. And that's a lot of gymnastics. It's not going to be perfect as soon as you get it. And so I think it feeds into what you were saying in that working on those little details is the difference between doing it bad and doing it well. Not just in a macro sense, right? But like the first time I ever, did Maltese in a routine in practice, it looked whack. It was not good. But by the end, you know, it was that battle of attrition, just the inches and every day in working on a different little detail that made it good, right? So yeah, it was a little arched, all right? Next time I do it, I'm going to fix the arch.
Sure.
I'm going to try my best to. Or my arms weren't as locked out as they should be. And it's doing that little bit every day where it's not great now, but it will be because you're working on it every day. You got to do it bad before you do it well.
Yeah. You know, I think that's super important advice for a lot of these guys who've got these big difficulty aspirations. They don't really understand, again, that it comes over long periods of work. It doesn't just come really quick. You know, in today's generation with all these instant gratification sources, social media and what have you, different sources, they think that, hey, you know, working hard for 10 minutes is going to give them a perfect Maltese. Absolutely not. That's not how it works.
That was probably the most frustrating thing being an upperclassman on a collegiate team, because I was pretty strong by the end of my career, and so athletes would come in and be like, well, yeah, Marsh can do that because he's Marsh. I'm like, no, you don't. You just were in high school when I was doing this terrible and wasn't in lineup. You know, it's all that work behind the scenes that I think people forget about, and it's hard not to when you haven't been there the whole time.
Sure. Unfortunately, really low landing there on floor. Kind of looked a little bit as though he misjudged his power level there.
It's possible. I mean, there's just so much going on floor. And another thing I will say that I think is such an underrated disadvantage on floor is that floor is the only event where if you fall, the timer is still running and you don't get a 30-second break. Floor is already the most energy-intensive event, right? You have 75 seconds to do probably the most concentrated gymnastics you're going to do in the entire sport. And if you mess up, it doesn't matter if you got the wind knocked out of you, the timer's still ticking. Get up and figure it out.
You know, this is one of those instances where, unfortunately, right now we've got Joshua Haney, and he's been having a really tough routine. You have to take a smart approach to this dismount. You don't want to ruin, you know what? I'm going to eat my words. It's a triple full stuck dismount, Paul. He's thinking, I know my gymnastics. But that's one of those instances of gymnastics IQ where you want to make sure that you're still being safe towards the end of a couple of falls, especially on floor.
Oh.
If your legs aren't firing and you've got a double flipping dismount going to the end,
GG gamer.
GG gamer.
Yeah, no shock.
You know, one of the, and I hope you guys, the fans at home, can hear the kind of energy that's building within a lot of these groups. As they're finishing these routines, I'm watching all these live interactions with the fans, with their teammates. Everybody's going nuts. They know that it's the last routine for a lot of these guys of this Elite Team Cup.
All right,
we're still alive, which is good.
He popped right back up.
Yep. Unfortunately, that's a massive mistake. Looked like a lot was misjudged there, and we can get into that in a second. Really great, too. I just want to shout out the medical staff that does know how to respond to these major mistakes. In today's day and age, we heard about it from Raj. You don't know what's going to be coming. You know, these routines are getting bigger, the routines are getting harder, the skills are getting scarier and more dangerous, and the medical staff has gone through so many iterations of training to handle these big mistakes. Listen, injuries are a part of the sport, unfortunately, but I'd love to see him get back up, love to see him hopefully finish this routine with a lot of pride and still with a smile on his face and obviously in one piece.
This is something small, but I really like the way he works the bar before he dives in for his in-bar elements. He gets the bar bouncing up and down, and he just really uses the equipment to its fullest, and I appreciate that. It just shows a comfortability on the apparatus that I think is fantastic for development purposes, and also makes his job a little easier. It looks like he might have caught his face a little bit at some point there, as that Kovacs was pretty close. When a Kovacs is close, what does that typically mean happen in the tap, Paul?
They went a little early.
And
they definitely misjudged. It could be a whole host of things. One of the things that I ran into when my Kovacs was definitely close, I got ahead of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little excited. I wanted to start bouncing on that bar. I wanted to let go. I wanted to do the skill instead of letting the skill happen. You talked about watching how they work that bar, watching how they use the tap, and et cetera, et cetera. You can tell that an athlete is patient and extremely comfortable in their routine. I think somebody that does that better than anybody, and somebody that everybody's going to be able to watch, hopefully, again, we don't really know yet, is Brody Malone. He gets on that high bar, and it's his time. He's not on anybody's schedule but his own, and I've always really appreciated that. But we're starting to get towards the very end of the routine. It looks like we've got the very last athlete competing for Region 3, Ryan Mills. Ryan looks, as we talked about, was an anchor all day for Region 3. I have no doubt that he's going to have an impressive elite career after this.
Oh, and I'd love to see it. I really like his double layout, by the way. That mount, that's another skill that got re-incentivized with an extra 10 for an E value this code, and I'm glad it made the resurgence because when done right, it's pretty.
Christian, I mean, a fantastic set of gymnastics. A lot of great routines. A lot of youngsters that are trying, as we said, routines that are maybe out of their wheelhouse right now. And you know what, though? I might even take back a little bit of my earlier statement. Sure, the team that won today is probably the team that did gymnastics within their wheelhouse, but that does not mean that the same team is going to be that good in years to come. Because although maybe young athletes were pushing their difficulty today, what they were not doing was staying complacent. They're pushing their difficulty today so that they can execute later. Christian, what do you think of the meet today?
No, I mean, the athletes looked hungry, especially from Region 4. They kind of put their foot on the gas in that first rotation, and they never let up. Routine to routine, they looked like they were, once again, not competing just to win, but to make a statement. And it's just visible in the way they do gymnastics.
Hey, Christian, I don't know the results yet, and I don't want to say anything, but you hear back-to-back-to-back-to-back champions. It kind of gets annoying. I know for me, here in Stanford goes back-to-back-to-back-to-back-to-back.
Almost a five-peat.
That was, for me, so motivating. And, of course, listen, it's at home. I don't want it to, affect how I competed at home. But it was something that I wanted to make a statement about. I wanted to stop that back-to-back-to-back. Do you think Region 4 had that as motivator today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone loves an upset.
Yeah.
And just like we talk about being hungry. It's like, I don't know, it's such a uniquely human experience to perceive yourself as being better than someone everyone else thinks is ahead of you.
Sure.
And to have that moment of vindication where you're like, see, I knew the whole time how good I was, and now you all are forced to see it. Like that, the kind of performance that commands respect.
You know where they're going to be saying it too from? Not on the podium.
Not on the podium.
So, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back very shortly after the short break with our results. So thank you so much. See you soon. I guess we can kind of...
Come see gymnastics' biggest stars at the 2026 Xfinity U.S. Gymnastics Championships at the Mortgage Matchup Center in Phoenix. Cheer on Olympic medalists and the next generation of USA gymnastics stars as they rise to the challenge and vie for national titles. Tickets on sale now. Visit XfinityChampionships.com for more information. Don't miss any of the action at the 2026 Xfinity U.S. Gymnastics Championships.
Earth, from the horizontal comforts of your couch, is merely dirt and sticks and moss and bugs and stuff. But when you're double backflipping off a backcountry cliff or hallucinating on 1 million micrograms of exhaustion, you might just see Earth as a world of endless attractions. Welcome to the...
Hello? Excuse me, I was still talking.
Anyway, welcome to the world of...
All conditions, gear!
Sonia and Gerald trust Prevagen for their brains, and this is their story.
I'm Sonia.
And I'm Gerald, and we live in Jacksonville, Florida.
We are both military veterans, and we provide dental care for underserved communities. We have a very busy life.
We take Prevagen for our brains.
I would honestly say I like the way that Prevagen makes me feel. At the end of the day, I feel confident and amazing.
Prevagen has been the #1 selling brain supplement nationwide for over 10 years.
Extraordinary to me is
hard work.
Leaving a positive impact. Being the best version of myself.
Being fearless.
Faith. Confidence.
Accountability. Believing. Having the courage to follow your dreams.
Perseverance. Walking in with confidence.
Determined. Authenticity. Resilience.
Making a difference.
To succeed in gymnastics, it takes strength, determination, dedication, and it takes you. The USA Gymnastics Foundation raises funds to empower athletes at all levels and disciplines of our sport and to enrich communities for all-around success. Give to the USA Gymnastics Foundation today, because their success starts with you.
Christian Marsh. We have had a blast watching the Region Elite Team Cup. Who's at the top of the leaderboard?
Region 4 started on top, and they maintained that lead all day. Although, being said, Region 3, the former champions, the former two-time champions, really closed that gap. I mean, they were ahead by 13 going into that last rotation, and it closed to 5, right? 8 points is a lot of ground to make up, so I feel like that is not to be discounted.
Sure.
That being said, in third place, we had Region 5, the 438.248. Then we had Region 2 in fourth place with a 437.398. Region 1 in fifth with a 436.573, and Region 6 rounding out the competition with a 424.822.
Christian, I was so pleased to watch those incredible juniors today. I feel like we got so lucky to also interview Raj Bhavsar, the development director, and also Jason Woodnik, the vice president of men's gymnastics. I mean, it seemed like we got a real treat early on in the day. What's even better about the afternoon, though, is going to be the senior men coming up next. Fans, anybody that was listening, we were so happy to have you live in the chat. Almost got up to about 800, 850 viewers at one point live. They stayed on the whole time, mom and dad and all the families watching. Thanks so much for joining. We hope you had a blast. Some of the routines that we're excited for later on in the day, there's so many different stories to talk about. One that I'm really looking at is that whole group from EVO. You know, what is that program going to look like going into it? So I'm personally really looking forward to watching my Michigan boys. Obviously, they've got a ton of University of Michigan guys coming up in the senior section, but also watching those EVO guys compete. What are you looking forward to session 2?
I am so invested in the all-around final. I look forward to the full return of Joel Moldauer.
Sure.
All right, I know he is one gunning for the win because it's one of those automatic qualification spots to senior national team, as well as Shane Wiskus, who we haven't seen since the Olympic trials, right? Sure. And so those are two athletes who are out in front for that all-around title. I'm really looking forward to watching. As a horse guy myself, Aronson Mansberger.
Yes,
right?
sir.
The horse routine is a good one to look for. And Fuzzy as well. I love watching Fuzzy do gymnastics, man. Talk about a comfortable athlete.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Stay on if you would like to enjoy the award ceremony of watching these fantastic athletes. Again, I can't thank everybody for joining us today, and we hope that everybody has a wonderful rest of their day, and good job to all of these amazing juniors. Thanks so much, Christian.
All right, good evening.
The next one starts at 7. Guess who's...
To succeed in gymnastics, it takes strength, determination, dedication, and it takes you. The USA Gymnastics Foundation raises funds to empower athletes at all levels and disciplines of our sport and to enrich communities for all-around success. Give to the USA Gymnastics Foundation today, because their success starts with you.
in individual event finals, all-around finals, and team competition to please report to floor exercise. Last call, Region 2, Region 5. Please report to the awards area at this time. Region 2 and Region 5, please. At this time, we present the Individual Event Awards for the 2026 Elite Team Cup. We begin today's ceremony with the presentation of awards on floor exercise. In third place, earning the bronze medal from Region 2, Cole Miller. In second place, winning the silver medal from Region 5, Bo McRae. And in first place, the 2026 Elite Team Cup floor champion, winning the gold medal from Region 4, Jason Howe. Here they are, your 2026 Elite Team Cup floor exercise medalists. We continue our award ceremony with the presentation of awards for Pommel. Finishing in third place and earning the bronze medal from Region 4, Jason Howe. In second place, earning the silver medal from Region 3, Andres Aranda. In first place, the 2026 Elite Team Cup Pommel Horse champion, winning the gold medal from Region 1, Kieran Chetri. Here they are, your 2026 Elite Team Cup Pommel Horse medalists. And now, the awards for still rings. In third place, winning the bronze medal from Region 4, London Norris. In second place, winning the silver medal from Region 2, Cooper Gunderson. In first place, the 2026 Elite Team Cup Rings champion, winning the gold medal from Region 3, Ryan Mills. Here they are, your 2026 Elite Team Cup Still Rings medalists. And now, we bring up our Vault Award winners. Tied for third place and winning bronze medals from Region 3, Andres Aranda. And from Region 5, Bo McRae. In second place, winning the silver medal from Region 3, Ryan Mills. In first place, the 2026 Elite Team Cup Vault champion, winning the gold medal from Region 4, Zayden Kite. Here they are, your 2026 Elite Team Cup medalists on vault. And now, the awards for parallel bars. In third place, earning the bronze medal from Region 6, Brody Schuller. In second place, earning the silver medal from Region 1, Troy Holman. In first place, the 2026 Elite Team Cup Parallel Bars champion, winning the gold medal from Region 4, Zach Myers. There they are, your medalists at the 2026 Elite Team Cup for Parallel Bars competition. And now the awards for horizontal bar. In third place, winning the bronze medal from Region 5, Bo McRae. In second place, winning the silver medal from Region 3, Jesse Haney. In first place, the 2026 Elite Team Cup High Bar champion, winning the gold medal from Region 4, Elijah Connor. There they are, your high bar medalists at the 2026 Elite Team Cup. We continue the award ceremony with the presentation of the awards in the all-around competition of the 2026 Elite Team Cup. In sixth place, from Region 4, Zach Myers. In fifth place, from Region 3, Andres Aranda. In fourth place, from Region 4, Zayden Kite. In third place, from Region 3, Ryan Mills. In second place, from Region 5, Bo McRae. In first place, the 2026 Elite Team Cup All-Around Champion, from Region 4, Jason Howe. Gymnastics fans, your 2026 Elite Team Cup All-Around medalists. And now it is time to honor the top 3 regions of the 2026 Elite Team Cup. Finishing in 3rd place with a combined score of 438.248, Region 5. Finishing in 2nd place with a combined total of 450.688, Region 3. And finishing in 1st place, your 2026 Elite Team Cup Team Champions with a top score of 455.245, Region 4. Here they are, the top 3 teams of the 2026 Elite Team Cup. Many thanks to all of the USA Gymnastics athletes who competed here at the 2026 Elite Team Cup. And congratulations to our award winners. And gymnastics fans, many thanks to you for joining us in bringing the roar to the Kentucky International Convention Center today. We appreciate your support of these USA Gymnastics athletes. We hope you can join us again tonight for the 2026 Winter Cup for senior men. Until then, safe travels, everyone.